What's up, fam? Hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that bell for notifications. Don't you miss a moment. Tonight, we're talking the greatest hockey fighters of all time.
Let's go! This ain't the puck fight. Force this game, he stinks.
Oh shit!
It's gone.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour live on A2DRadio.com. I am Matt Sudi, along with the Darkwing Brian Daly. Oh, no, he's not here. Yep. See, I do it out of habit, and this is what happens. He is MIA, but he is here in spirit. But we do have the broken one, Rob Povia.
What's up, fam? This is just another Thursday on a Tuesday.
Yep. And the one and only Mr. Brad Ryer.
Right? That's the Jimmy
And we welcome you, ladies and gentlemen, to a brand new edition of the Hockey Happy Hour live on A2DRadio.com. And we are brought to you by Manscaped. You get 20% off plus free shipping with code at A2D at manscaped.com. That's 20% off plus free shipping with the A2D code at manscaped.com. It's time to throw out your old hygiene habits and upgrade your life because the ladies don't like junk funk, as we say every week. And you know what? You shouldn't really like it and tolerate it anyway. Get rid of it, feel confident, feel better about yourself. And not only will you do better with the ladies, you'll do better with most things in life. You will have a confident feeling in everything. That's worth having. Manscaped, that's the way to go. And today's poll question brought to you, as always, by BetUS, which is the leading online sportsbook that has been in the market for over 25 years. You can bet anywhere in the U.S. on everything, and if you use that code that you see down below, you get 125% sign-up bonuses. That is absolutely worth checking out. And the question tonight is the role of Goon is the greatest in hockey. Agree or disagree? Gentlemen, do you agree that the Goon or the Enforcer or the Fighter or whomever you would, whatever way you wish to call the role, do you believe that it is the greatest in hockey?
Whatever the nomenclature, right?
Yeah.
I'll jump in and I'll say I'm going to disagree. Not anymore. Back when I started following hockey, I'm sure back when Brad started watching hockey, I agree with this poll and say it was the greatest. It was a good role in terms of protecting your elite player on your team. You know, Gretzky had him, all the greats had him, and it's a different game anymore. So I'm going to disagree. I think the role is pretty much, virtually non-existent. I mean, and that's coming from, the Flyers bringing in Delorier. So, I mean, I guess there is still those players out there, but it's very few and far between anymore compared to when I started watching hockey.
Gotcha. Brad, how do you feel?
Well, it obviously hockey in 2022-23, fighting is not a major issue. However, I will say that the role is still, while it's not the most important, it is extremely important that there is, we call them policemen in New York.
Yeah, I like
you
that.
have a policeman on your team that will mitigate all the funny business that goes on the ice and protect your star players so that they can play their game. I definitely think that there is still room for it. I do think it's going to come back. I don't believe that it's it's gone forever, even though Gary Bettman wishes it was. It's not. It's not. And if you take a look, every good team has an enforcer on it. Bar none. You find me a team that doesn't have an enforcer. You name me a team, we'll find an enforcer on that team.
Absolutely. I mean, to me, the role of the enforcer, is it the greatest in hockey? I would say that it is. I wouldn't say it's necessarily the greatest, but I would say that it's one of the most iconic. It's one of those. It's right up there with the goaltender and the sniper. You know, those are the three roles we all really clamor to for hockey because we all love ourselves a nice big check, a good fight. We also love ourselves a great save by a great goaltender that just amazes you with the flexibility that they have sometimes. And then the sniper, of course, you know, they make these amazing shots and they make them look easy. And if you've ever played hockey, even remotely, it doesn't matter what kind of league, try shooting a top shelf shot on a goaltender that's either taller than you or has a half decent reach. It's pretty hard. It's not as straightforward as some people would argue. That's why some people usually go for the 5-hole. But still,
I used to always do that.
Instead of going top shelf, you always went 5-hole.
No, I always tried to go between the legs because every goalie I ever played against had space between the legs. And there just I wasn't accurate enough and skillful enough to hit corners. So I used to try to get in as close as I could and try to make a move to get them to open their legs up, and then you get them. Or try like hell to shoot on the blocker side because most goalies have sucky blockers, to say the least. Especially, you know, when we were kids playing, we all knew where to shoot, and that was not on the glove side. Because everybody could catch with their glove. Even when I played goal once in a while, I used to catch everything. Even if it was on the blocker side, I would try to catch
it. Yeah, so that's the rule. That's the tip of the day. If you're going to shoot blocker side, you'll be successful. And go for the 5-hole.
And you'll always get a rebound if you shoot on the blocker side, by the way.
That's true. That's true. So I will say though, I will say this, that even though I disagree with the poll, the Goon is still one of the most iconic positions you could ask for in hockey. You gotta love it.
It's still I don't care what anybody says. You can say, well, you want about there's hardly any fighting in the league now, blah 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 blah. Yeah, well, you know what? Here's the thing. Take a look at the two teams that were in the Stanley Cup Finals. Okay. Does Colorado have unquestionably the toughest fighter in the NHL on their team?
That's hard.
Curtis McDermott is, without question, he's the king right now, right?
He's tough as nails. There's no getting away from that.
Yeah, I thought it was a rhetorical question, Brad. That's why I didn't answer.
Yeah, no. Curtis McDermott is the king, right?
Right.
Maroon.
Patrick Moron.
Well, he is a moron because everybody beats him up, but he supposedly is Tampa Bay's policeman. Although, to be honest with you, I think Steven Stamkos could kick the shit out of him every day of the week, including Sunday. But that's just my opinion.
So, in honor of the poll question, as the marquee will tell you, we are going to take a look through the greatest NHL fighters of all time. We have got dream matches that we have put together, and we're going to decide who we think would win that fight. Who do we think would come out on top? Would this guy beat this guy, or will we disagree and say, no, that's bullshit because this guy would win, and here's the exact reason why. So, and if you guys have any fantasy fights you want to throw out there, please feel free to do so. We always love interacting with you guys. By the way, what's going on, Raska? He also went on to say Chris Pronger was a fighter too. I don't know if he was a fighter. He was a nasty checker, though. He would pick a good time to just nail you, and that was it for you. And let's see here. Pete saying, love the topic for tonight's show. Thanks, Pete. What's going on, man? And he goes on to say, agree to the poll. And then we got Frank chime in saying this is going to be fun. He also said, I was a goon back in my pickup street hockey days. Great times.
Nice.
And Benny's Nation is saying, yo, my homies. What's up, Benny?
Well, Benny.
And we start off with Raska, Ty Domi versus Bob Probert. Although he said Probert. I think he meant that.
Probert?
Yeah.
Well, they fought a few times.
They did.
Yeah, I remember two of their fights. I remember one, Domi actually beat him up pretty good, and that was in Detroit, and it was the same season. And then they came back to the Garden, and everybody knew that was going to be a fight, and they went at it. And that fight must have lasted about 3 or 4 minutes, and Probert beat the crap out of him. It was amazing that Domi was able to take all those hits and stand up and still swing. I mean, one thing I would say about Domi, he had a cement head. I've never seen anybody get hit so many times so hard and be laughing the whole time. And be throwing punches back. I mean, he seems to like getting beat up. It was bizarre.
Some people love the violence.
Yeah, I guess.
By the way,
some men just want to see the world burn.
Could be.
By the way, for all the comments out there, they are brought to you by Gleason's Bar, located at 6700 Mill Creek Ave in Levittown, PA. Use the promo code A2D for 10% off your order whenever you dine in, take out, or you go online at Gleason'sBarnSteaks.com. Listen, if you're ever up around this area in Levittown, PA, or you just want to grab yourself a nice bite, go to Gleason's Bar. They got great food there, great people there. 10% off your order. That's a good deal. Check them out. And with that, gentlemen, I think we can dive in to our Swoop's chiming in. What's up, Swoopy? How's it going, man? And Benny's saying, I think a Joey Cooker versus Domi would be a good one to debate.
Ooh, like that.
I think Koser would destroy him.
Koser.
That would be all Koser. Koser hit so hard he used to break helmets with his fist.
Mm-hmm.
he had a right hand that was like they could cage your skull, and that's why. And nobody really wanted to fight him.
And then Swoopy does say Domi became best buds with the Flyers fan after the scuffle behind the penalty box. That's interesting. Did not know that, actually.
No, I didn't know that either.
That is very interesting. Hey, you remember that time I almost killed you?
Well, that fan jumping in the penalty box, that wasn't too right. I mean, like, why in the world would anybody want to try go jump into the penalty box and try to fight Ty Domi?
Brad, hockey above all sports, man, it just brings out the passion in the players, in the fans, maybe even more so. Obviously not using his head, not using the rationale, just going in guns blazing, and he got aced.
I mean, but the thing is, like, most fighters aren't like guys that should be in Attica State Prison. Like Ty Domi could have been if he didn't play hockey. I mean, Ty definitely didn't have both, as they used to say in wrestling. He didn't have both oars in the water. I believe that was a Gorilla Monsoon quote.
Yeah, it was.
And for him to see somebody, I mean, oh my God! Like he's not the kind of guy that would say common sense would dictate that I'm not going to start beating the crap out of this guy. Like a lot of guys, I think, especially the guys of today, if that happened, they would just sit there and they'd be like, "Get the hell out of here."
All right. And before we dive into our dream fights, gentlemen, first period brought to you by looking to buy or sell a home or looking for a change of career in brokerage. Contact Alan Foy at eXp Realty LLC at 302-682-8820 or visit him at alan.foy at exprealty.com. If you're going to make that move, Do it right. Alan Foy's the way to go. EXPRealty.com. All right, gents. Let's bring them out. What type of dream fights do you want to go with? Who wants to go first?
Well, first, I'm going to go with a special message. Today's my pop's birthday, so I want to wish him a very happy birthday to Pop.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. I should have hit that up in the first 10 minutes, but, hopefully he's still with us. I'm sure he has been a great supporter of mine in this career. Certainly when I was making no money interning, or maybe like $500-600 a month, just starting out, trying to get into the business. And also just always wearing our shirts here at A2D all the time, really supporting what we do here. So thank you from the bottom of my heart, and wish you a happy birthday today. Getting on to the fights, I want to throw out Marty Mcsorley versus Donald Brashear.
Ooh. Interesting.
They did fight. Because Mcsorley lost that fight, and he hit Donald Brashear in the back of the head with his stick and got suspended for 20 games because he was a sore loser.
Yep, that's kind of why I brought it up. I guess.
That.
Yep. Oh yeah. All
right. All of us are old enough to remember that.
What, Donald Brashear?
And Marty Mcsorley?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. First there was the fight, which Brashear won, clearly, and Mcsorley decided that he was going to smack him in the back of the head with his stick, which he did, and Brashear was knocked out cold, and Marty got 20 games for doing that.
Of course he did. I mean,
yes.
Well, what else would you expect would happen, right?
Well, in the NHL, these days, I wonder about some of these guys, especially Paros, because Paros is a insult to the game of hockey when it comes to suspending people. He has no clue he doesn't know what to do. Stick fouls, you have to really clamp down. Fights and punches and stuff. That's hockey. You don't.
Okay, so mine would be so on one side, this was the first fight that came to my head because I remember just how terrifying he was on the ice back in his time. On one end, you got the boogeyman, Derek Boogaard, who was world famous for just punishing guys out on the ice. And then on the other hand, you have Carbomb, Danny Carcillo, who never walked away from a fight in his life and loved to fight. Obviously, Danny's wearing his Flyers jersey, obviously, in this one, and Boogaard will be wearing his Wild jersey. Who do you think wins this one?
Oh, God. I think Carcillo probably lasts about 10 seconds before he's knocked down the first time.
Does he get back up, though?
Yes,
I think
he does.
Yeah.
He has the Domi mentality. He has a head that's made of cement, and he always would get up and keep going and disregard the fact that he may have a concussion, and get right back up there and go at it.
Robbie, how do you feel on that one?
I think he'd hang in there a little bit because what and I'm not a big Carbomb fan. Let me just start by saying that. But what he did really well in fights was tie up the other guy. You know what I mean? Wrestle around with them. You know what I mean? Block off, play defense, and then working his shots. Hopefully, get his helmet off first. He wouldn't do that in this fight. But I think he would last a little bit just playing a little defense. But a couple shots right off the get-go, it's nighty-night, Carbomb.
Okay, then. So Boogaard wins that bad boy. All right, then. We got Robin. We got me in on that first round. What about you there, Brad? What you got?
Harry Beck and Chris Nylon.
Ooh.
And I remember the fight very, very well. And I remember exactly what happened the night before. The Rangers and Canadians had a home-and-home series. First game in Montreal, if I remember correctly, Nylon went after who did he go after? I think he went after Duguay, and Duguay is not exactly a fighter.
No.
And he hurt him, and Duguay came out of the game. And the next night, they were at the Garden, and I mean Barry Beck just went over in the corner when Nylon had the puck and just came in and like clocked him with a check, and then Nylon stupidly dropped his stick, and Barry Beck just pummeled him. Barry Beck might be one of the best fighters in the history of the game. I've never seen him lose a fight. I never even saw him come close to losing the fight. That's how nasty he was. Unfortunately, with his career was shortened with all his injuries, but I mean, that guy could really. The fact that he was 6'4", 240 pounds, he was the most modern guy that I could think of that would have been really great like him was Dustin Byfuglien, if you remember him.
Oh yeah, I remember Dustin Byfuglien.
I would think that he and Dustin Byfuglien would have one hell of a fight because it would be their fight. They're both big, they're both strong, and they could both, and they could both play hockey. They weren't goons; they were just big, mean men. Never saw Byfuglien lose a fight either, by the way, just for the record.
Yeah, that's true. You toss him.
Who do you think would win a fight like those against those two? That would be interesting.
Interesting.
Say the matchup again.
Barry Beck and Dustin Byfuglien.
I'm gonna go old school. I'm gonna go Beck.
I might go Beck too because Beck was a technical fighter as well as a brawler.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Both sides of the coin.
Yeah, I was gonna go the same route. I was thinking, like, you know what? I think Byfuglien would do the best he could. I think he could hang pretty decently.
The
fight.
He gets him. Listen, he gets plenty of shots in too.
But I think that Beck would just take it and just tank him at the end of the day. It's just like, you know what? This ain't shit. And just keep going, basically.
Pretty much. I mean, when Beck played, there was a lot of obviously there was a lot of brawling back then. Nobody wanted to be Beck's partner in a fight. Obviously, I know you guys didn't watch a lot of the Rangers, but I mean, I did, obviously. And he when they were bench clearing brawls, everybody avoided him. I mean, he'd be skating around looking for somebody to beat up, and they go running after somebody else.
And just grab a jersey on the other side so that way you don't get grabbed.
Nobody wanted the problem.
So let's see.
It was kind of like Clark Gillies with the Islanders. Only the real tough guys would go out there and would during a fight, and would go out and try to challenge Gillies. I mean, I can name a Flyer who gave him not a Flyer. I'm sorry, a Boston Bruin who gave him a pretty good beatdown one time. But then payback was a bitch, and that was Terry O'Reilly. And then there was another.
I had a feeling that was going to happen. Yeah, I had a feeling that was who you were going to say.
Yeah, he and Terry O'Reilly had a couple of. Terry O'Reilly got him at the Coliseum during a bench clearing brawl and whooped him pretty good. And in Boston, they happened to line up next to each other on a face-off, and this time Gillies got the first shot in and wailed on him. Now,
Nice.
A Flyer that did beat Gillies fair and square was Ben Wilson.
Ben Wilson.
Ben Wilson is probably the most underrated great fighter of all time.
See, Brad, this is why I love having you on the show, man, because you remember these old time names that I've long burnt those brain cells. Like thank you for bringing up these guys.
Ben Wilson beat up Gillies when he was with the Flyers.
Yeah.
And the season he got traded to the Blackhawks, okay, it was Gillies' first time going in there since that fight. and facing, and they had an interview with him the night before on Islander TV on Sports Channel. This is back then; it was Sports Channel, and they were talking about Ben Wilson, and they said, "Are you ready?" He said, "I've been thinking about this for the last 2 weeks nonstop." And he goes, "I know what I did wrong, and I know what I have to do." And they said, "So does that mean you're going to fight him?" And he said, only if he wants to fight me." And he said, "I don't really think he wants to fight me," which, of course, Ben Wilson, I'm sure, heard that because, when the game started, I think maybe a minute into the game, they went at it. Gillies got him pretty good that time, the second time, but Ben did a number on him, and I have to respect that. I never saw Gill. That's the only fight I saw where Gillies took a bad beating. O'Reilly gave him a pretty good beating too, but again, O'Reilly jumped him, so he didn't have much of a chance in that fight. But Gillies beat the crap out of Schultz. I mean, that's not something that too many guys did. I mean, other than Larry Robinson, as a matter of fact, I can't remember anybody that really beat up Schultz.
Well, Schultz was just, he was just vicious. Like, he didn't care.
He was left-handed too, which made it really.
That throws everything off. When you're a southpaw, it throws everything off. And so, but so we got Jake chiming in. What's up, fellas? It's an easy agree for me. And then Dan saying, "Can't hang out with you today, losers. On my way to the Canadian Championship Final. Canada, Vancouver versus Toronto." I'm assuming in NHL, whatever year, insert year here, because I don't think the Canucks are in a Stanley Cup Final anytime soon, nor Toronto. That's all fantasy. Chuck saying, "Yo, gentlemen, what's up, Chucks?" And we've got Joey DiBardino. What's up, Joey? Saying Ron Hextall versus Marty Brodeur. Who ends up being whose daddy? Hextall wins that hands down. Yeah.
Brodeur wasn't a fighter.
No.
If you're going to go there, how about Hextall versus Ray? Who's the hell that crazy guy that the Flyers had in goal?
Ray Emery.
The black dude.
Yep, that's Ray Emery. Yep.
Yeah, he could really go.
Yeah, and he was a boxer, so that would have been an interesting fight between him and Hexy. You got a guy who's just a barbarian, and Hexy just going at you as viciously as he can. Meanwhile, you got Emery who's just trying to freaking hook you and that jab you and just try to freaking move and swerve and shit. That would have been hilarious to watch that fight.
That would have been a war, because you're talking about two goalies. The other goalie that I remember who could really go was what's his name? He's playing now. The guy in the Canadians. That was injured.
Carey Price
was out. Yeah, Carey Price. Yeah, Carey Price. Carey Price is probably right now the best fighting goaltender in hockey. Anybody who fights him is out of his mind.
That's a good point. That's a very good point.
So I know Mike Smith could swing them.
If those three could have could go into the ring and have a three-way match. Take off the boxing gloves and go into squared circle. That would be interesting.
Yeah, that definitely would be.
Unfortunately, Ray's gone, and that's unfortunate. But he was very entertaining.
So let's see here.
Unfortunately, Ray didn't win the battle with water.
No.
Now let's see here. Swoopy chiming in. Christoph Soliwa. Was Oliwa any good? Was Oliwa good?
Good? No. No, he was pretty useless, but he could go. But he was not. He was not one of the.
Depends on what you mean by good. It's a very relative term we're talking here on that one.
Okay, I just thought of a guy who I never saw lose a fight and used to really hurt people. Tony Twist.
Tony Twist. Yeah, I was thinking of who would be a good matchup for him, and I thought
Closer.
Kotzer, but then I also thought of another guy, and I thought it'd be kind of fun to see those two guys go at it because this guy loved to fight. And he did play for the Flyers for a short period. Gino Odjick.
Oh yeah, he was. Yes.
Because he was brutal. Like yeah. And the funny part is, like, I think he was on the Flyers for like 1 year. He was on the Canucks for a couple of years, and he would just bash people.
Most of the time.
Yeah, and that too, and that's where I really look at it. He'd just grab you and just hit you once, and it's like, that's it, you're done. Screw it.
he was brutal. He was brutal. Really was. Tony Twist though would be. I'll tell you what would have been an interesting fight. Tony Twist and Nick Fatihu.
Nick Fatihu, fun fighter.
Nick Fatihu was a Gold Glove winner at Madison Square Garden. And he used to go out there and he would box. He wouldn't do that hanging on to the jersey shit. He just went out there and boxed and really used to fuck everybody up. Then he learned how to grab the jersey, and pull the jersey over people's heads.
Oh yeah.
And there was one instance where the Flames and the Rangers had a bench clearing brawl, and Nick was on the Flames at this point because it was near the end of his career. And poor Don Maloney ended up with Nick Fatihu. And Don Maloney did not. And Don Maloney was like, his face was like, oh no.
He was like, oh,
Nick Fatihu did not realize it was Don Maloney. So he goes and gets him in a headlock and puts him down on the ice. And you see Maloney going like this, like it's me. What are you doing? And he realized it was Don Maloney, and he just got up and left him alone, and then started going. He went after an ex-Islander who was playing for the Rangers. I'm just trying to remember who it was. Pat Price. It was Pat Price. He wanted Pat Price. He thought he had Pat Price, but he had Don Maloney. And Don Maloney is like pleading with him not to hurt him.
That's funny.
Yeah, if you go back and see Ranger Flames, Calgary Flames brawl, you'll see it. It's pretty funny because Maloney was like pleading his case while Nick was on top of him. Like, what the hell?
Let's see. Benny's Nation say Rob Ray versus Kelly Chase.
That would be a good one. If Ray had to keep his jersey on, I think Chase would win. But Ray was like the stripper on ice. He used to get out of his shirt and then he had nothing to grab onto. And
that's the whole reason. That's the whole reason why they created the fight strap, because they.
Because of him.
Yep.
He was the reason. Because we used to call him the stripper. Ranger fans, we called him the stripper because every time. I mean, that movie Slapshot. They got that whole thing from Rob Ray.
Yeah, where he's
that whole striptease in the movie. They got that from Rob Ray because Rob Ray used to let the guys pull the shirt out. He never had the things taped down. Yep. And when they got the shirt pulled over his head, it just came right off, and then you were dead because you had nothing to grab. And he just grabbed you.
I got a good one for all the Flyers fans tuning in tonight. And it's a matchup of two probably of the heaviest heavyweights in Flyers history. It's a good opportunity to bring up Dave the Hammer Schultz because you knew he was going to get brought up in the show.
Of course.
But of course, him versus Dave Brown, who was one of the nastiest fighters that I saw growing up as a young hockey
He was left-handed. He was lefty-handed too.
He was left-handed too.
So
southpaw versus southpaw.
That would be a tough matchup for Schultz.
Interesting.
That would be a tough matchup. Terry O'Reilly was a tough matchup for him because Terry O'Reilly was left-handed as well.
Right.
And they had a few fights, Schultz and Terry O'Reilly. You can look it up I think they have round 1, 2, and 3 in there. I don't think they have 4. I think I saw 3 fights in hockeyfights.com with those 3, with those 2. Excuse me.
Sure.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen Nick Fatihu go with Dave Schultz. That would have been a pretty good fight because Dave Schultz was he was vicious, but he was also very crafty and mechanical. He was a smart fighter.
Maddie, you remember Dave Brown at all? Or no? Before your time?
No, unfortunately, Dave Brown was before my time. Yeah, because by the time I was really coherent on the Flyers, we had Brashear as the enforcer at that time, so it was a little bit different ball game.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, certainly, I knew you wouldn't be watching them live, but I mean, at least to be familiar, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah. I mean, obviously, the Brownie kind of took over after he took over in the '80s when after picked up where guys like Schultz left off, where it's just like, you know what, I don't care, I'm gonna fight everybody. Come on, take me on. I don't give a shit. And then he'd go and start stuff too half the time. So that's what he loved to do.
See, Schultz was nasty because of the hair pulling.
Yeah,
he got dirty like that. You know what I mean? Like the classic, picture film that you see of him fighting. That's what he's doing, grabbing a handful of locks. I forget who he was fighting at the time.
Yeah, he'd grab you by your hair. And of course, back in the '70s, guys had their, you had no helmet back then, and guys had their feathered hair or had the fro or whatever. They had it going, and it's just perfect. Lots to grab, and we just grab onto it and just start hammering. It was hilarious. Oh,
Dylan.
So let's see here. Oh, what did Dylan say here?
The last one we almost had.
Bob Hartley versus John Tortorella.
Which is funny you bring that up, too, because there's been a lot of talk of the potential brawl between Tortorella and Jim Salisbury.
Yeah.
Jim Salisbury asks him a stupid question.
Yeah.
And when he was in New York, Tortorella, if when somebody asked him a question he thought was a stupid question, this is what he would do. He would just say, "That's a stupid question. Next."
Right.
Well,
and he wouldn't even get into it, and he would just say, "You didn't hear me the first time. I'm going to say it again. That was a stupid question. Next." And in New York there were a lot of stupid reporters, so he was almost every game. That's a stupid question.
So let's see here. Oh, this one's funny from Swoopy. Mike Keenan versus Tortorella.
Oh, boy.
There we go.
I think Keenan would win because Keenan. I mean, I've met Keenan in person. He's a real nice guy, by the way. He's a stocky guy.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, he's still built like a brick shithouse. I mean, he's very muscular and everything. Tortorella's kind of like a tall, lanky, skinny guy. I don't think he'd have I don't think he'd have a shot. I love Tortorella, but I don't think he can handle that.
I mean, Mike Keenan, man, whew, talk about a guy with a temper. I mean, guys, when you played for him, you hated his fucking guts, but my God, did he get the most out of you?
Oh yeah. Oh, I agree with you about that. I agree with that.
What's funny is like here's the thing though. You ever notice that Mike Keenan was like one of the most loyal guys ever? Every team he was on, he brought a lot of the same guys with him. Even if they had no business being on that team,
True.
And they would just be there. Just like, Keenan, there are other players in the league besides, this guy and this guy. You could bring in somebody else. You don't always have to bring an Esatikin in and,
Yeah. Yeah. No, you're right about that.
But let's see here. Oh, yeah, here's an interesting one. So Benny's saying Ed Hospidar could throw them. Yes, Ed Hospidar absolutely could throw them.
Except when he made a big mistake in Clark Gillies and got a broken nose.
Oh, well.
He was on the Rangers when he did that. He was not on the Flyers.
Well, that
And,
doesn't
and
surprise
just
me.
for good measure, when Hospidar was lying on the ground face down, Gillies took his stick and cross-checked him in the back of the head.
Oh.
Just for good measure. And, nobody in the Rangers even tried to do anything about it.
It was like when
why would you do that? He's going to kill you too. So
it was like in 75 or 74 with the Rangers and the Flyers, and Schultz just beats the shit out of Rolf, and no one was just like, nope, not getting involved in that.
I mean, the guy that really should have gotten involved back then was Steve Vickers, because I think Steve Vickers could have dealt with it, and I think Ron Harris could have dealt with it, but Ron Harris, for some reason in that game, was scratched. So, that was something Emil Francis probably wished he didn't do. But he didn't do it. He didn't let him play, and that was a mistake.
So let's see here. Greg saying, "What's up? What's up, Greg?" Ryan saying, "Brad, it is true that Ben Wilson would not allow players to get into the offensive zone. He always stood them up at the blue line. He made them dump the puck, take a hit, or force an offsides, or even a turnover."
I don't know if it was that, but he was. I'll tell you what. One thing, he was a terror to play against. I can remember a Ranger by the name of Reijo Lenin, who was a little Finnish guy who was fast as hell, and I can remember him trying to skate into the Flyer zone, and he cross-checked him right in the head. Even with he had Rexy had the helmet on, and he went down like a sack of tomatoes. It was unbelievable, and the Rangers were really pissed off. And Wilson basically challenged the team, and there were no takers. Back then that was a problem. And then the following season, Nick Fatihu came on the team, and then that everything kind of stayed in its place. I mean, the only Flyer I can ever remember Nick Fatihu fighting was Paul Holmgren, and Nick Fatihu used to kill him. I mean, Paul Holmgren was big and strong, but he had slow hand. I mean, and he was also the one that's fought him first, so nobody had actually seen Fatihu fight. And Fatihu sitting there throwing jabs and throwing the left and then throwing the right and like skate and like dancing. Literally, it's like what the fuck in that? Holmgren never knew what hit him.
I'll be honest with you, man. He should have finished the job there and just gave Paul Holmgren permanent friggin' brain damage so he couldn't ruin the Flyers later on in his existence. But anyway.
Now, Berube, guys, where would you rank him amongst your toughest guys? Because you guys have had some tough guys in the past.
Oh, Berube was.
Greg Berube, we used to make jokes about him. Remember Ogie Oglethorpe in Slapshot?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we used to make jokes that Berube was the guy that got deported, and then Canada wouldn't take him and threw him back in the United States.
That is funny.
That was our big joke about Berube, because we thought he couldn't really play hockey. That was the only thing he could do. But obviously, he wasn't that bad. But we didn't like him because he was Berube, and he was Flyer.
I loved Berube only because like every fight he was in, he drew blood. Like it's like Berube didn't stop till you bled. It was as simple as that. He was an animal.
I'd have him. I'd have him 3 right behind Schultz and Brownie. He was fierce. There's a reason why they called him Chief, and it wasn't just because he looked Native American.
I'll tell you what guy I would have liked to see him go after was Gillies.
Gillies.
That would have been a good one because actually, I think Scott Stevens would have been funny. Would have been fun to see him go up against Berube because they were kind of the same height. They'd be a good match because they were like the same size, same height. They were both a little mentally unstable when they got angry.
See, here's the thing. This is my non-biased opinion. Even though I would be absolutely cheering for Berube because I'm assuming he'd be wearing his Flyers jersey on that one, I'll be honest with you. I think that'd be a draw. I don't think either one of them would get the better of the other. I think they'd beat the hell out of each other so bad they'd both be freaking done by the end of it. It's like you talk about two guys that are like an immovable force, an unstoppable force being an immovable freaking object. Those two did not care.
No, that would have been a fun fight. Maybe they did. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to go back and take a look.
I know Stevens fought Lindros a few times, and that, of course,
Lindros
eventually.
was not a great fighter, though. He was just big and strong.
That was, yeah. I mean, he was more known for taking those hits when a guy was in a vulnerable spot. I forget what senator he did it to, and it was a nasty hit. And it got him in a lot of fucking trouble, too, and the Sens were not happy about it, obviously. But I don't think it was Dag. No, it couldn't have been Dag because Dag sucked. But
Why would he?
Yeah. I'm trying to think of who it was. It was one of the senators he did it to, and it pissed everybody off. But let's see. Rob might remember.
Yes.
You remember when Lindros? I think it was an Ottawa Senator. He did like a real dirty hit too. He was in a very vulnerable spot on the boards, and Lindros just railed right in real bad, and he got a lot of heat for it too.
I definitely remember. Yeah, I remember the incident. I can't remember the player though.
Was what's his name still? Was Zdeno Chara still playing back then? I mean, was he on the Senators at that point?
I'm not sure. I'm trying to remember if this was the late 90s, because if it was the late 90s, I don't think Char was on the team just yet. I think he was with the Islanders still.
Okay. You know, it's interesting. Zdeno Chara, when he first came up, couldn't fight.
Yeah.
No, he couldn't. He couldn't. I saw a fight on hockeyfights.com or on YouTube. I don't remember which one. Between him and Darren Langdon. Now, Darren Langdon was a pretty good fighter. I mean, I would say if you were ranking him in the when he played in the era that he played in, if there were 24 teams back then, he'd probably be like number 12 or number 13. He'd be in the middle. There were a lot of guys he could beat. There were a lot of guys he couldn't beat. But he used to take a lot of hits and then he used to play the rope-a-dope game and then beat the crap out of you at the end. But he beat up Chara pretty good. I guess Chara was embarrassed and then learned how to fight, and we all know what Chara was like when he was mad. Mm-hmm. I'd never forgotten that fight a couple of years ago against Evander Kane.
Don't get Chara angry.
Yeah, he really gave it to not Patrick. It was Evander Kane.
Yep.
Benny's got it.
We have seen that one.
Yeah, it was Dackel that he hit. Yup,
Mm-hmm.
That's what it was. Yeah, that got him a shit ton of heat after he did that.
I thought it was Dackel. I wasn't sure if it was a bigger primer like Daniel Alfredson, but it was as soon as I went Lindros hit Ottawa Senators Google search, I'm like, some bitch, Andres Dackel, motherfucker. such a guy that get underneath your skin,
Wasn't he like a pest though?
Yeah, and I think that's what led to that hit in the first place, honestly. Because think of this too. I was watching a couple of old games, and it was when Tampa first got into the playoffs for the very first time ever, and they drew the Flyers in the first round as an 8th seed. And they had two guys just pestering Lindros all series long, frustrating the hell out of him. I think it was Game 6 when the Flyers won this. Lindros got away with this, and he should not have. Lindros took one of the guys out, and how he did it was he jumped off of his skates with his stick hidden in his glove and, bam, smashed him right in the face and broke his nose and took him right out of the game. Should not have gotten away with it, but got nothing for it at the end of the day. Didn't even get a 2-minute penalty.
Somebody did that to Ratko Gudas, remember?
Yes, I remember who did. Yeah.
Somebody on the Ducks did that.
Yep. That's true.
The Superman move with the stick.
Yep.
Lindros did that move.
He did that, yeah, because he had it hidden in his glove because the stick was black, glove was black. Boom, just went right into him and took his ass out because he was getting frustrated the whole series because he was getting shut down by both of the guys that were pestering him. So he finally had enough. I mean, he still should have, Oh, was it Ulan? It was Ulanov. Oh,
Ulanov. Okay. I'll tell you what, you guys out there are very good at remembering whom it was. It's almost like the way I remember Ranger fights. You guys remember almost every one of them. I give you guys a lot of credit for that.
We got
there were some good ones out there.
Yeah, got a very intelligent fam out here in A2D Radio. That's why they're all here.
Yes.
Let's see here. Yeah, okay, so George Paros. George Paros was a great fighter. I don't know if they ever...
Paros and LaRock.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going with that. LaRock and Paros. Yep. You talk about a fun fight right there.
I wonder if they've ever won.
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because they did play at the same time. So I wondered if they ever did cross paths in terms of fighting each other. Let me see here. Dylan saying, Ray Emery may be gone, but every time there's a cold chill, Braden Holtby shivers. Oh, that was a great day when Flyers just getting freaking just mollywopped on the fucking scoreboard and freaking Ray Emery the Flyers just had enough, and they start fighting everybody, and Emery just comes down, grabs a hold of Holtby, just mugs him right down there at the other end.
And Holtby himself was a pretty good fighter. I was almost going to bring up his name when we were talking about goalies that could swing it, but he got his ass handed to him.
Yes, he did. Well, apparently he told Emery that he didn't want to fight, and Emery said, "Too bad, cover up."
Yep. Razor.
Yeah,
you gotta love
I don't
him.
think those two fought each other.
Really, LaRock and Paros never dropped mitts. Holy shit!
Doesn't look like it. His fights were a lot. He had a lot of fights against Colton Orr and Ty Domi. It looks like, but I can't find any fights with him against that. He fought Eric Godard. I mean, it's a Cam Jansen. Cam Jansen isn't that tough. Jody Shelley, that would have been a good fight.
Oh, Jody Shelley, yes.
Jody Shelley was a real tough player.
Yes, he was.
Yeah. He fought Riley Cote. Riley probably didn't get the best of that.
Right. Riley Cote, whom we had here on the show. Great guy.
Yeah, he is, and he's as tough as they come, but that probably didn't end well. So,
let's see. What's up, Don? Oh, I got one for you guys. Sort of a Civil War battle. What if two Devils, Scott Stevens, Ken Danico?
I had a feeling you were going to finish that sentence with Danico. Because
when you think of fighting and you bring up the Devils, Danico's usually the first guy that comes to mind, normally. Yeah.
My money's on Ken.
Ken Danico? I can understand that.
Stevens was the better hitter, but I think Danico was the better fighter.
Oh, no. Danico was not a good fighter.
He wasn't?
He got beat up. Manny Malhotra beat him up, and Manny Malhotra was not even that good a fighter.
No kidding. Oh, okay.
Swear to God, I remember that fight because when I used to think that too, and then when Manny Malhotra was behind the net and Danico ran him, and Malhotra got him, ended up beating him up pretty good.
What's the saying? The dog, sun shines on a dog's ass some days. Like any guy can win a fight.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. Yeah, it's possible. I cannot find any anything with LaRock and Paros. I know LaRock said that the Canadian fans would never be happy with Paros as their enforcer because he wrestles too much.
So it's a shame that they never actually got to follow up on that. That's a shame.
Yeah, I don't think those two ever actually got to fight, which is a shame.
Oh,
Couldn't
yeah.
find. I was trying to see if I could find a fight with those two.
To be fair, I think George Paros he spent pretty much. Did he spend all of his career on the Ducks? I think he spent all of his career on the Ducks. Did he not?
No, he went to the Canadians at the end of his career.
That's right. He did go to the. I keep forgetting he did go to the Canadians because I know The Rock was on the Canadians too, and then he was on the Penguins. And
yeah, when the Canadians traded him, and then they had Paros. That's when Rock said that.
Okay, that's why it makes sense. It all comes together now.
Yeah.
What's up, Troy? How's it going, brother? Mean Girl Hockey, how's it going? Saying, I always thought Eddie Shack was a superb fighter. Eddie Shack, there's a fun one.
Oh, Eddie the Entertainer.
Yeah.
Wasn't he on the Penguins?
I think he was.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, I remember. He used to listen. Mean Girl. I don't mean to say anything bad about anybody you support, but he used to get beat up most of the time. he was kind of like the Brian Watson of his era, who his nickname was Bugsy.
Bugs.
You guys ever hear of Bugsy Watson?
Actually, no. No.
Brian Watson. He used to play for the Red Wings. He was he was a dirty little player, and he's always getting beat up. But he would fight anybody.
So he was.
I mean, Schultz hit him so many times. Schultz just stopped and shook his head like.
Even Schultz just like, I'm done beating on you, dude.
Yeah. He stopped.
Fun fact: Eddie Shack began his career wearing a blue shirt.
He was on the Rangers?
Yeah, he started off his career 58 to 61.
Oh God, I was just born then.
Yeah,
a little leeway, guys.
No, I feel you.
Yeah,
No, I thought that was interesting. I remembered him.
I remember him when he was on the Penguins, and I do remember I can't remember him ever winning a lot of fights, but he was tough, and he was kind of like, if you want to go by today's standards, he was kind of like Barclay Goodrow. Wasn't afraid anybody would drop the gloves with anybody. Didn't win too many though.
Let's see here. We got Anthony saying, "Hey guys, what's up, Anthony?"
Oh, you know what I want to mention? Derek England.
I hated Derek England.
Everybody
hated him.
I couldn't stand him either, but I never saw him lose.
When he wore that fucking Penguins jersey, him and Matt Cook used to piss me off every freaking time the Flyers played the Penguins. Hated them both very much.
Matt Cook shouldn't have been allowed to even play. He was. I mean, he had no function other than to try to hurt people.
Yeah, pretty much. That's why no one fucking liked them. And they were on the Penguins too, so naturally nobody's going to like you. But, let's see. Dylan saying...
Chris Simon was a freaking maniac too. Remember him?
Chris Simon, yep. Dylan saying underrated fighter, Tim Jackman. Mean Girl Hockey also saying Al Secord and Stan Jonathan.
Stan Jonathan could really go. And he was little too. He was very short. And a lot of people mistook that for granted.
Let's see here.
Stan Jonathan was not a guy you could you would want to get into a fight with. He threw uppercuts and he was very effective at that. If you were wrestling him, he'd sneak the undercut right underneath and get you.
Always love the players who could do that too. It's like nice.
Well, Gary Howard was another one that did that. He was another short guy that used to do that. And then there was a little guy, I think, that was 5'3" who could go like that too. His name was Bobby Lalonde, and he used to play on the Red Wings. I don't know if you guys remember him, but he was really short, and was always sticking his 2 cents in all the time. And when he got into fights, he kind of come up and get undercut and do that one, the undercut.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Whatever you call it.
Anthony's saying here, Patrick Waugh was a good fighter. Waugh
Yes,
was a Waugh was a fun fighter to watch. That was a great fight between him and Vernon back in the day. That was fun.
And he went with Osgood too.
That's right. He did have another battle with Osgood. Yep. Swoopy saying Felix Potvin was a good fighter as well. Felix the Cat.
Oh yeah, he was. But he's not on the same level as Hextall or Ray. I can't remember his name again.
Emery.
Ray. Yeah, he was. Those two guys and Carey Price were three of the best fighters I ever saw. Do you remember when Carey Price fought Tim Thomas?
Yes, I remember that.
Do you remember what a big mistake that was for poor Tim Thomas?
Yeah.
Yup.
Too bad.
I think Tim probably thought
I remember he knocked him down, and then he let Tim Thomas get up, just so he could knock him down again.
what I find funny is that I think Tim Thomas had to have thought to himself, it's Canadian's goalie. He can't fight. Then sure enough, he got his ass whipped. You know,
do you remember we had on the sports house? I think Matty was actually on the show. Matt was on the show.
Oh, okay. One of the times I was on. Okay.
Yeah. When you were on, we had the guy from the Islanders, Richie Pilon.
Oh no, I was supposed to be on the show when you were supposed to have Grant Ledyard, but that wound up falling through.
I thought one of you guys was on with us when we had.
It might have been Brian. Brian might have been on with you.
Okay, because we had asked him who his first fight was against, and it was against Keith Jones, and he said that when he was on the bench, you know, he heard that Keith Jones was going to go after him, and who was it that Dale Hunter told him don't fight him, and he thought he's some European player because his name was Pilon.
Yeah,
He's some European player. I'm going to kick his ass. So he went and started a fight with him, and Richie Pilon beat the crap out of him. And Dale Hunter said, "I told you. Why would you go after him?"
Keith Jones was funny because Keith Jones was the kind of guy who would fight anybody, whether he won or lost. He didn't give a shit. He was just like, you know what, I don't care.
he was kind of like the Linsman of his era.
Yeah,
and the Linsman was annoying because he was a really good player too. He was kind of like Marchand.
Yes. Although I do not like the comparison to Marchand because Marchand's a piece of shit. But you know,
well, Linsman was pretty bad too, to be quite honest with you.
Not from my perspective, but that's okay.
Well, when he was on the Bruins, he was pretty bad too.
Okay, all right, fine. We'll give you that one.
He was a perfect angel on the Flyers. Well,
yeah.
I thought he was a lot. Actually, I thought his behavior was 100 times worse with the Bruins. To be honest with you, and I'm not just saying that to pacify you. I just think it was because the Bruins had a lot of tough guys who would back him up.
Yeah, that's true. Let's see. Benny's saying, "Don't bring up Colton Orr around us Flyers fans, specifically to the fridge."
The dork.
Yeah, Colton Orr was pretty tough, but he had no hockey skill whatsoever.
Anthony's saying Scott Stevens was a pussy. I agree. And then Dylan saying,
"Yeah, I would agree with that. I couldn't stand Scott Stevens."
And then Dylan saying Jerome McGinley would score 50 and take out a team's best goon. Yeah, Jerome McGinley. Yep.
Oh, yes, he would.
That's the thing that people forget. It's the same thing with Gagne, too. Like, people know Gagne could score and he could fight, too. And McGinley was I didn't know that. He could fight. He didn't do it often because he was a valuable player on the ice, but he could go. If anyone ever wanted to try him, he could. He actually trained.
Too many people wanted to try Ginla. Ginla was a tough player. Yeah.
Not only was he tough, he was big and he could score. Like, it was just like you didn't want to fuck with the Ginla.
I think I talked to you guys about Patty Verbeek. who should be
Yes.
in Hall of Fame, in my opinion.
Yeah.
500 goals and 2,000 penalty minutes, in my opinion, is Hall of Fame material. I mean, I know he didn't get 1,000 points, but he had like 900 something. But 2,000 penalty minutes. How many guys live to see the day when they get 2,000 penalty minutes?
That's
a lot of years.
Yeah, that's yeah.
And he scored 40 goals one year.
Well, let's see.
Andy
here.
Bathgate, nice name.
Andy Bathgate, Gordie Howe.
He did.
Yep.
Oh, Andy, was he with the Rangers or the Leafs when that happened?
I think
Little known fact, gentlemen, too. The Gordie Howe hat trick, Gordie Howe never had.
Oh, a
That
goal
is-
was in a fight?
yeah, that's true.
He never
Gordie
had
Howe-
one of those?
Nope. He never actually did a fight, an assist, and a goal. He never did any of that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, individually in games, different games, sure, but not in the same.
Or I mean, saying, man, yeah, I guess that's possible. I mean, I don't know. Honestly, that's not something I know, to be honest with you. Gordie Howe was pretty tough. I think
He
his
was.
counterpart was John Ferguson. He was the other
Mm.
nasty guy back then. And I think John Ferguson broke his nose.
That,
Gordie Howe's nose.
that doesn't surprise me. Oh, Ryan Clough. Oh, I remember when Ryan Clough was playing for the Sharks. you didn't want to fuck with him.
No. He had so many fights when he got traded to the Rangers. He ended up getting concussion problems because he got into too many fights before he came to the Rangers.
Yeah, I remember that. But you know what? It didn't surprise me. It's like, you know what? If anyone was going to have concussions from fighting, it was going to be him, honestly.
The problem with him is that he would fight out of his weight class.
Yes, he would.
That was the problem. Here's a name from the past. Now, I don't know if you guys ever heard of this guy, but he was considered generally in Schultz's era as the best fighter in the league, and that was Dan Maloney on the LA Kings.
Oh, yeah. Certainly remember Dan Maloney.
Yeah, Dan Maloney, nobody would fight him because he was just beyond. Yeah, I don't even remember. I always remember that every time the Flyers played the Kings, I wanted to see Schultz fight Maloney, and they never fought. Not to my recollection, anyway. Of course, it's possible they could have fought in LA, but I couldn't stay awake that late when I was a kid. My parents weren't letting me watch hockey games at 1 a.m. Because if you remember back then games started at 8, and in LA they started at 11.
Yeah.
So by noon, by midnight, I was toast.
After seeing a couple games worth of hockey, you're like, yep, I'm good for the night.
Yeah, exactly. And especially if the Flyers were on, because I used to be able to watch a lot of Flyer games because we got channel 29 in East Brunswick.
Nice.
On UHF. I had a UHF antenna on my TV, and I was able to get channel 29. So I got to see my share of Don Earl and Gene Hart, which of course those two probably by themselves caused me to hate the Flyers so much because I couldn't take them. Please score for a case of tasty cake.
I actually missed that, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, he scored 50 one season. What did he do with all those tasty cakes?
That's a very good question. That is a very, very good question.
Tasty cake. Yeah, whenever somebody scored, they scored for a case of tasty cake, and he scored 50 goals. And I can remember. I remember all I kept thinking about, and this is just me, of course, because this is the stupid things I always would think about. What did he do with all those tasty cakes? 50 cases.
Just built like Lego giant things with them.
Yeah, like did he get the yellow ones or did he get the brown ones? Never. That seemed to bother me. I don't know why. It only me, because I don't think anybody else in the world cared. But for some reason, I just wondered.
It just bothered you for some reason.
Yeah, well, I couldn't stand the coach either, but Hearing Gene Hart, when his voice cracked, oh, he stole hers, right? Casey.
Loved it. That was great. The funny part is, it's like, unfortunately, all the times I ever heard Gene Hart, unfortunately, are in post tense, because when I was watching the Flares, JJ was already doing the announcing. But I remember when JJ used to do it for the whole scored for K-Stacy Cakes. So, like, yeah, I actually kind of miss it, to be honest with you. It's like he hadn't done it in forever because they just stopped doing it. But
I've got that promotion.
Yeah. Let's see.
I can remember the Rangers. The Rangers one season had a thing with the pizza. Who was it? Was it? It wasn't Pizza Hut or Domino's. It's the other one, Papa John's. They had a promotion with Papa John's that they scored 3 goals. That everybody got. No, it's 4 goals. Everybody in the arena got free pizza. And every time the Rangers had 3 and the other team and they were ahead and the other team would pull the goalie, they used to chant pizza, pizza. They go, we want pizza.
Hey, at least the Rangers were sucking that night.
You'd have it happened a lot too. You'd have guys trying, and the Ranger players reacted to it by trying to shoot for the empty net from like their own face-off circle and ice the puck all the time, and then they get when they came off the ice, they get booed vociferously for missing the net. This is what
because they robbed you of pizza.
Yeah, but it's Papa John's though. I mean, it's not like if you came down here, it's not like you're getting Southside or.
Well, I mean, listen. I mean, if you're drunk, Papa John's sounds pretty good. Doesn't really matter. If you're
glass, get Domino's. They're better.
We should leave that up to the fan.
Yeah, right.
Never a big fan of pizza chains. Like I like the individual restaurant. Like the.
Well, me too.
Me too. I mean.
Me too. There's some good ones down here.
Oh, for sure.
If you're in Atlantic City, probably the best one is Southside.
Mm-hmm.
I would highly recommend that because they're not too expensive. Now the one that has that taco pizza up north, I forgot what it's named, but it's a real popular one. The one that everybody goes to, I just can't remember their names, but that's good, but it's expensive. I mean, if you want to pay $50 for a pizza, fine, but yeah, I'm in your corner there.
So, all right, gents, before we wrap up this first period, let me get one more battle from each of you.
Cool. Well, before I give my final battle, which ironically my final battle is actually a fictional character hockey battle, be a little food for thought. So maybe I'll go last there.
Okay.
Anybody bring up Tiger during this
Tiger
show
Williams.
So far?
Tiger Williams?
Yeah.
No. Nobody brought up Tiger Williams.
It behooves me that to mention him. Like that, I'm surprised I haven't already.
We should have mentioned him. We kind of overlooked him. And
sure. Oh, well, a lot of great fighters over the years. Let me speak, please. Thank you.
Oh yeah.
Career penalty minute leader with 3,971 minutes, 400.
Wow, I didn't realize that.
Yeah, crazy, right? Absolutely. He had 246 total fights in his career. He led the NHL in penalty minutes 3 times during that. He was with the Maple Leafs, Canucks for many years. I remembered him with the Kings in the early to mid 80s, and then he finished his career with the Hartford Whalers. Wow, nice.
Interesting. Finished it up with the Whalers. It's an interesting place for him to finish that up one. You know what's funny too about Tiger Williams? He's probably the only Toronto Maple Leafs player that actually liked Harold Ballard. The only one. Everyone else hated his fucking guts.
Yeah, you're right. You're right about that. They did not like him.
For good reason, too, because...
Yeah, well, he was kind of a douche, so yeah.
Oh, He was more than a douche. The man was a fucking dick.
I remember that. I remember that. Nobody liked him.
Like, you know it's bad when your own fan base goes out of their way to go to away games. They don't even want to go to the freaking Gardens. They would rather go support the other team than you.
Yeah, because they didn't want you to get. They didn't want to give their money to you.
Yeah, that's pretty freaking bad. Oh, all right. So, since Rob's got the fantasy fight, like we said, we'll leave him for last. Brad, what you got?
All right. The Grim Reaper,
Okay.
Grimson, okay, and Craig Berube.
Oh.
I gotta go, Chief.
It would be a fun fight. Because the Grim Reaper took a lot of hits, but man, when he did hit,
Tough
when he hit you, when he hit you, you went down, kind of like Koser. Poor man's Koser. Koser's too easy to put out there. That's why I'm going with somebody who's not quite as good as Koser.
Sure.
The Grim Reaper and Berube. That would be a good fight because he could take a lot of shots and still come out and whoop you at the end.
Mm.
And I love his nickname.
Yeah, that was.
Don't know who he is. Stu Grimson used to play for the Hartford Whalers.
Definitely top 10 fighter all time.
Oh yeah.
No disrespect.
Ross guy just mentioned him. Just got that, and yeah, he was a fun one to watch.
Yeah, you know, I'm gonna go Chief. I think Chief wins it. I think just because
I never saw him lose a fight, so I mean,
yeah. I mean, it would be a bloodbath to the point where literally just buckets of blood are just on the freaking ice. And I mean, people would think like, "Wow, was there a bench clearing brawl?" No, it was just a fight between Grimson and Berube. That's it.
Yeah. Well, here's one more. Berube and Nick Fatihu. That would have been a good one.
That would have also been a good one too.
That would have been a good one. Especially once Fatihu learned how to fight a hockey fight instead of going out there trying to be Muhammad Ali, which he was pretty damn good at for a while. He just got tired of guys trying to tie him up all the time, so he figured out how to untie.
All right, so I've got my final one. Mine's another Civil War one. This one's a flyer one. So let's do it. Dave Schultz on one end, Bob the Hound Kelly on the other end.
They did fight.
They did fight?
Yep.
When
Kelly got traded to the Capitals, they fought. Schultz won.
Oh, interesting. Okay, then.
Schultz beat him up pretty good, but he let up at the end because he didn't want to. They were friends.
Yeah.
And when they came off the ice, they were smiling at each other. Which leads me to believe that they were planning that was a plan. So
yeah,
makes sense.
That's a great thing about hockey fights. Not all of them are like come from, you know, negativity or conflict. A lot of times it's like you want to go, yeah, good fight, man. You know what I mean? They're patting each other on the ass afterwards.
that actually does. That happens a lot, actually.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I love it too, where they'll fight because they'll be like, "Hey man, you want to go? Yeah, sure." And then they just drop the gloves, start beating the piss out of each other. Like there's
just like a boxing, MMA. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? You're competing against each other, and then when it's done, it's done. Shaking hands.
Do you remember Brian McGrattan?
Yeah, vaguely, yeah.
Okay, he played for the Flames. He was the heavyweight champion back in like 2010, 2011 for a while. He fought Dylan McElrath, who had just come up as a Ranger defenseman, who was another guy who everybody thought was going to be one hell of a fighter and all this other crap. Dylan McElrath held his own. He lost, but he held his own. And at the end, when they were done, you know, he came over to McElrath was told by McGrattan, good job. and he had a little smirk on his face. So some of these guys, I think McGrattan couldn't care less, but McElrath just had to fight him, which
All right then.
was a mistake. But
So Robbie,
McGrattan, sorry guys.
Robbie, it is your time, my man. Your final battle.
Final battle. Well, I love this segment because it was like nice having like going down memory lane of like the dream fights that did happen on the ice, the ones that you wanted to see happen from different eras. This is from different movies of hockey. Ross Ray from Goon versus Happy Gilmore.
Ooh.
I just thought of it early on in the show. I was like, I wonder what would happen there because Happy would take the skate off and stab him, you know?
I know, and that alone makes me kind of want to go with him, because it's like, I mean, it's hard to argue against that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Should you do that? No, but
why not? I don't know.
Yeah, I think Happy Gilmore would. What about Dr. Hook, Craig McCracken against Dave Killer Kowalski?
It's in the name, Killer, man, Killer.
Yeah, yeah. Meanwhile, I remember they were calling him Killer, and meanwhile his face was completely bloody, and they were stitching his lip. Killer's a mess.
So
I wanted to bring up Goon because it's like they really represented what hockey fights are really all about, and we were alluding to it a little bit earlier, you know.
Yeah, I agree. As much as they fight, there's always that camaraderie, very much.
Those actors really studied it. I mean, they portrayed it well.
Swoopy send me something here. Who do I think was a great all-around lethal hitter and also a great fighter? Koser. Yeah, I'd have to give that one to Koser because Koser used to hit really hard.
Yeah.
I mean, he had punishing change. Also, the other one I would give you is Zdeno Chara, somebody that we've all seen play.
Yeah.
When he hit you, he hurt you.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
To your earlier point, too, Stevens. I think you could say hit and fight.
Yep. But Stevens was not the fighter that Chara ended up being, though.
No. I mean, it's funny. He made a couple lists that I was scrolling through, and I was surprised because, like I said, I mistakenly put Danico ahead of him, but apparently he was a good swinger.
Who?
Scott Stevens.
Oh yeah, no. Oh, he could go. Yes, he could definitely go.
Yeah. Benny Station saying Carl Racky versus Ross Ray if we're talking movies.
I like it.
So I'm going to say good movie battle. You have all three of the Hanson brothers. Who would you have going up against them? Pick somebody from the hockey world. Like, let's do this. Fiction versus reality. Take three guys from the NHL, put them up against the Hanson brothers. Who would you have going up against them?
Now?
You can pick anybody. Pick from any era.
All right. Well, I'm going to go with now because the three fighters, in my opinion, who are the best three fighters in the league are what's his name? McDermott,
okay.
Delorier, and Reeves.
Okay, that makes sense. That's pretty solid.
I think we could agree that those three right now are unquestionably the three best fighters in the league. Until further notice.
Oh, I think Swoopy answered that question. Sandy McCarthy.
Because he stunk. I remember he fought Donald Brashear, and Donald Brashear almost killed him.
And Anthony's saying, I thought the Hansons were bitches.
Actually, they were hilarious.
I just love the fact that in between games, their pastime was playing with toy cars. That's what I always thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
First game too, they're just knuckling up and they got everything going. And he's just like, no, they don't see the ice.
What about when they're foiling up?
Yeah, that's what I mean. They're foiling up and they're just like, oh no, they don't see the ice. They're like, no. Then eventually they just said, screw it. Let's just have them kick ass.
I got a good one for you. I got a great.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, Rob.
They could fight.
Say that again, Brad.
Paul Newman didn't when he played that part. I forgot what the name of his character was, but when he saw them when he put them on the ice, he had no idea that they were like that. He was like, all right, you guys, go ahead and play. Show me what you got, because they had just hurt somebody. The other team hurt somebody. So who would you want to fight Ogie Ogle for? What an NHL player.
Before we do that, though, Rob, what were you going to say?
Reggie Dunlap. I can't believe I couldn't
Reggie
remember
Dunlap.
that either.
There you go.
Yeah.
Good job. Thank you.
No problem. Well, thank Google. I got a great one for the Hansons, though. Pick any three Sutter brothers.
There you go.
There you go.
That'd be perfect, right?
That's a fun one.
See, Ron was a scumbag, so Ron. Well, Dwayne was a scumbag too. So.
Love it. Yep.
Daryl.
Daryl wasn't a scumbag though. He was different. He was a real good player.
And he went on to be a pretty darn good coach on top of it.
Yeah. Ron and Dwayne were both scumbags. I mean, you can't. I know you won't argue Dwayne. You might argue Ron because he's your boy, but you know.
Yeah.
From another person's perspective, we know what he was.
Yeah. Loved by us, hated by you.
Loved by you guys, but hated by the entire league.
That's pretty much what Dave Schultz was in the entire Broad Street Bullies too in the 70s.
Dale Hunter is another one.
Oh, Dale Hunter. Yeah, there's a guy that you.
Dale Hunter against McCracken.
McCracken. Okay, I would say for the Hansons, I would say I would have that Brashear would be there on one side. Gotta roll with Brashear. I'm gonna also throw out there, you know what? Just because it was actually a lot of fun to watch him fight, and I would like to see how that would go down. I'd like to see what Wayne Simmons would do in that fight, because Wayne was fun to watch fight.
He was more of a middleweight though. He wasn't really a heavyweight.
No, but boy, did he. He was fierce when he would go. Like, he did not care. Yeah, I loved watching him fight.
He'd fight anybody.
Toss it around. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he would fight anybody. He had no qualms about that, for sure.
And just because I want to see him get beat up, I'd love to see Zach Ronaldo get the shit kicked out of him, because I hated Zach Ronaldo, even though he played for the Flyers. Like, I never liked him.
Did he ever win a fight?
I don't think he did, to be completely honest with you. And I thought he was shit anyway.
Derek Dorsett beat him up when he was with the Rangers, and Derek Dorsett was so bad he got beat up by Austin Watson. I mean, Austin Watson truly never won a fight until he beat up Derek Dorsett. I mean, he was like that guy in wrestling that Frankie, whatever the hell his name is, that Roddy Piper said, "You've been in Piper's Pit. You've been Frankie Williams.
Oh,
wrestling for 15 years and you've never won a match." "Oh, I've been out there. I'm trying my best." And I think Roddy Piper beat him up on Piper's Pit, but that's kind of like Ronaldo.
Nice.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Benny's they should say, "Can't forget about the Bash Brothers from the Mighty Ducks." No, you can't. Benny, I know, we're having fun too, but we got to end this one. We got to move on. We do have some stuff to talk about in terms of the Flyers and the league, so we got to take care of that stuff. Don't worry, man. We'll have plenty of time to talk about this stuff in the off season.
We're in the off season. We could always do it again.
Yeah, we can always come back.
If you fans are requesting that, sure, we'll do it again.
Of course. And this time we'll do a bracket. We did Dream Fights. We'll do a bracket next time. You know what I mean? So that way you guys can play along at home.
We'll do a bracket. We could do a tournament, and then we can vote on who we think would win.
Yeah. We can always do that. So don't worry. We can always bring this back. Circle this back around.
Yeah.
Joey's saying the Tooth Fairy versus Happy Gilmore.
Good one, Joey.
That's a good one. And then they said, how about the Sutters versus the Hunters? Ooh. I don't know. The universe might explode.
Yeah.
And what's up, Tommy? What's going on, brother?
What about the Plager brothers? You forgot them.
Oh, the Plager brothers. Oh, they're infamous.
Yeah, they used to beat each other up. They used to, when they were all on the Blues, they used to beat each other up in the locker room.
Yep. And everybody and the Flyers remembered them because they're a big reason why they lost those 2 playoff series to the Blues 2 years in a row.
Well, those guys were nuts.
They were man.
They were brutal. Especially Barkley. Barkley was the nastiest of the 3 of them.
Yeah. But another shout out to another former Flyer. He also did play for the Penguins and a few other teams. Shel Samuelson, who was who was another guy who liked to fight all the time.
He's filthy. I'm sure Cam. I'm sure Cam. What's his name? The guy from the Bruins. Cam Neely.
Oh yeah.
Cam Neely doesn't remember him too well.
Nope.
Not he wouldn't be invited to his family picnic. That's for sure.
No. Nope. All right, guys.
He has arthritis in his knee from that dirty check he threw on him.
They saying Shel Samuelson was better.
That's great. I haven't thought of both of them in a long time. That's great.
Shel Samuel. I remember Shel Samuelson when he was still with the Rangers, and the Rangers and Flyers were having a bench clearing brawl, and he was holding on to Ed Hospidar. I remember the Ranger announcer just kept saying, "Hold on tight, don't let go of him. If you let go of him, you're gonna regret it. Don't let go of him."
All right. Oh, here we go. Alfie and Bookaboom, right high in my most hated players. I will say this.
Yeah, I can understand why people wouldn't like him. He was pretty nasty too.
Still to this day, though, probably my favorite hockey name ever is still Bookaboom. It's that's a great name. I don't think anyone will ever top it. At least in my opinion, I don't think anyone will ever top that name.
How about Clayton Stoner?
What's up?
Clayton Stoner.
No. Still doesn't beat Bookaboom. That's just a great fucking name. Great name. I just wish you played on the Flyers. Although, I don't think you would think that.
No. He did a nice job protecting Brian Leach, that's for sure.
All right, gents. On to our second period, brought to you by, let's see here, All Campus OC. If you're ever here in Jersey, you want to take a little trip down to the shore, get a little nice feeling of the breeze from the ocean, chill out on the beach, maybe go or walk along the boardwalk, have some fun with the fam, or just relax yourself, or with a significant other, what have you, stop on into All Campus because they actually have some nice deals going on. And one of those is 20% off of everything in their store, including hats, shirts, to all of A2D Radio subscribers. And John Coyleman, he does the ramp booth. He runs that shop. It's a great place. Great guy. Go check it out. Ever down in Ocean City, New Jersey. Go check it out. All right. Time for us to jump in to what's going on, Saul. And let's see here. We'll dive into our next topic, which is basically the update on what's going on in the Flyers offseason. Unfortunately, one of the big headliners for those out there who were hoping to see Bobby Brink this training camp, that is now not going to happen. Bobby Brink is going to have hip surgery. So
Yeah, I had heard that he was banged up. I didn't realize it was that bad though.
Yep. So he'll be out for about 5 months. So unfortunately, if you were hoping to see him in the training camp, it's not going to happen.
So you'll see him January.
Hopefully.
Yeah, right.
Hopefully.
So
Yeah, he'll be behind the curve, obviously, and got to play catch up. But at least the timing's not terrible. You know what I mean in terms of like, potentially more games lost.
Yeah, at least he's doing it now, and
Right.
I mean the season doesn't start to the middle of what the hell are the Yankees? What did the Yankees just do?
Try to double steal.
A double steal with
Yeah.
Anthony Rizzo. See, you guys wonder why I can't stand Boone. He has no idea what he's doing.
I like the fantasy stats for Judge getting a stolen base stuff. That's nice.
You know what? He was in there.
Did you get the tag down?
He didn't get the tag down. I mean, I thought it was a stupid play.
He's safe.
Oh, he's safe.
Yeah.
He got the front foot in there. The Yankees will probably win that. Well, let's see. Did he actually hit the base, or did he hit his foot?
The only thing I could say is he got to the base first, but he might have came off of it, and as McNeil's sweeping the tag, he still has it on him.
Yeah, but it looks like his ankle. It looks like his ankle and other foot were wrapped around the base at the same time, though.
Could be. There was a little bit of time. There was a little bit of a gap.
Let's see. He got his foot in, and then he tagged him when his other foot was in. I don't know if that's conclusive enough. They may not overturn that because it's too close to. I thought he was safe, but again, I'm also looking at it through my Yankee glasses. I'll be the first one to tell you that.
So maybe not the most unbiased opinion in the world.
You see, take a look at his back foot though. I think his back foot was in there. When his front foot came off, his back foot stayed on.
By the way, Rob, I don't think you're the only Mets fan in attendance right now because it looks like Anthony's saying "Let's go Mets."
Oh, right.
Well, they held it up. They held it up. See, but that was a dumb thing to. Why would you do that? I mean, you have the go-ahead run at home plate, and you're trying a double steal with Anthony Rizzo. I mean, if you were gonna try a double steal, why didn't you take him out and put in a fast runner? And then move DJ LeMahieu to first base. See, this is why Boone is an idiot. You could have put Tim LaCastro in as a pinch runner, to get a little bit more speed, and then move DJ to third.
Yeah. So it's not the aggression; it's the personnel.
Yeah. I don't mind him being aggressive, but how about with guys who can actually run?
Trying to catch him sleep.
Yeah. Anthony's saying Aaron Judge would look great in the Mets uniform.
Yeah, well, that's not going to happen.
Never going to happen.
Okay, if Aaron Judge did leave, he wouldn't go to the Mets. Trust me, that would not happen.
West Coast, right?
Yeah.
That's what we were saying.
He would go to the Giants probably because that was his team growing up. He's not going to go to the Dodgers either. He couldn't stand. Used to say that he couldn't stand the Dodgers.
That's all right. We'll take Soto instead. We're cool with that.
All right, but let me ask you guys this question. So
I don't think you have a farm system to get him.
Hold on.
Oh yeah, we do. Oh yeah.
So let's think.
You sure about that? Wasted a lot of it already.
With who?
With some of the trades they made.
I don't think. They gave up P. Crow Armstrong. That's about the only top pick that I think they've given up in the past 3 years.
What about the guys they gave up for what's his name for closer?
Oh, Kleniak? Well, he's panned out well.
No, he hasn't really.
But you're good point though. I mean, he was in terms of top prospect. You know what I mean? But,
yeah,
they got Ronnie. They got that catcher Alvarez is number 3 prospect in all of baseball. That's who the Nationals would want.
That's what everybody would want. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They've got Batty, Mauricio, Benitez. These are all like, top prospect guys. That they'd probably want Matt Allen too.
Would they trade in their division though?
Probably not.
That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, probably not.
I just keep thinking he's going to end up in LA with the Dodgers.
Mm.
So, guys, let me ask you. Oh, yeah.
Yep, go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I was just going to ask a fantasy question.
Rays, I think, are a dark horse for getting Soto in terms of they're not going to get him to sign him. They're going to get him for the 2.5 years of eligibility.
That would be smart, actually.
Mm-hmm.
That would be something they would do too.
They just demoted Luis Patino oddly. Like, you know what I mean? He was working his way back to come back to the rotation. Got hit up a little bit, gave up like 3 runs in 4 innings, and then demoted him. And I was like, that's kind of an odd move.
Because they are so loaded.
Yeah, they are loaded. Yeah.
So, gents, let me ask you guys a question. So,
Sure.
say you're playing a sport. Doesn't matter what one, whatever one you want. And you're being offered guaranteed money, one of the biggest contracts you could ever ask for because you're that good at what you do. But you're also getting an offer from your hometown team that you grew up watching. It's not as high as the rival that's offering you that big guaranteed money. Would your sense kick in of, you know what, I'm going to take that money even though I grew up hating this team? Or would you take that and say, you know what, even though that's a bigger offer and a guaranteed offer, I'm going to take the less money and go to the hometown team? Where would you be on that? Just out of pure curiosity.
Boy, that's tough. I mean, I would probably go to my hometown team, to be honest with you. But again, if you're talking about an iconic team like, say, the Yankees, it's hard to leave that team. Especially if you're talking about Judge leaving, I don't see that. I just don't think he's going to leave. I think the Yankees were trying to get him for as cheap as they can. But I think when push comes to shove, I've never seen the Yankees actually lose somebody that they didn't want to lose.
It's just one of those things I wanted to bring up because you know how a lot of times in sports, guys say like, man, I would never want to play for that team because I just wouldn't be able to live with myself. But then they roll back that money truck and they start bringing out gold bars, and all of a sudden you're like, okay, maybe I can overlook the fact I hated this team as a kid and play for them for guaranteed money. You know what I mean?
I can name you 2 guys who didn't care. Okay, one was the great Jackie Robinson.
That is true.
At the end of his career, he got traded to the Giants, and he said, "The hell with that! I am not playing for the Giants. I quit."
Yep.
Okay.
Baller move.
And Junior Griffey went and played for the Reds.
Yep.
And he took a lot less money.
Okay. It's just interesting because it's very rare, at least in my opinion, to see guys, not take the money in sports. Usually they go for that big money contract, even if they're going to go play for a team that they weren't a big fan of when they were kids. They were like, you know what, screw it. I don't care that I didn't root for them when I was a kid. They're offering me a shit ton of money. So I think I'm going to take that money.
Well, I wouldn't play for the Red Sox if I was a baseball player. Or the Mets. Neither one of them. Those 2 teams, I wouldn't. I just wouldn't. If I had a no trade contract, those would be the 2 that I wouldn't play for. I don't care how much they offered me. But hell, I play for. I'm trying to think of a really nondescript team, like the Texas Rangers. I played for them before I played for the Mets or the Red Sox.
Go down to Arlington,
Colorado. I played for Colorado before I played for them.
Don saying, "I'm taking the money. Fuck that."
There you go.
He says, "I hate the Chicago Bulls, but if they offer it, I'm taking it."
There you go.
Ted said there was a Philadelphia Eagle. I can't remember his name, but he went to Dallas, but retired because he'd rather retire than play for Dallas.
That's different. That I could believe too. That I can understand.
The way I look at it, the color of money never changes, no matter who's paying me. I could care fucking less who I'm playing for.
But how much money? First of all,
Nice.
what is the offer, and how much of a difference is it?
That's key. That's a good
And
question.
where are we? Are we talking about Florida? Playing in Florida? Okay,
Oh,
where there's no state tax.
Or
Okay,
as DP me,
so,
yes.
yeah, or do you want to play for Florida or New York? If you're a hockey player, I think I'd rather play in Florida.
Especially right now, considering that both teams are playing pretty damn good hockey at this point.
Yeah. Now we should also we'd be failing not to mention that the big trade this week.
Yeah, then that's exactly what we're going to be talking about. Oh yeah, we'll be talking about that. So before we dive into that, one last thing, the quick update for the Flyers. One last thing, Brad Shaw has been hired as the Flyers assistant coach, so that'll be interesting to see what he brings to the table along with as part of the team with John Tortorella.
Good coach.
Yeah, and former player, of course. I believe he played for the Whalers. I think that was the team he played for back in the day.
He's been around, lots of experience.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So it'll be, we'll see what he can do. Hopefully he can steer the ship properly with Tortorella. I still am skeptical, but maybe I'm wrong. I hope. On the other side, hello, Eileen. How are you doing tonight?
Yeah, what's up?
And she also asked, where's Hexy nowadays? Unfortunately, he's the GM of the Penguins.
Schittsburg.
Yeah.
PA.
Unfortunately. All right. So let's dive into our third period. Now the second period's all finished up. Third period brought to you by FanUp, which is the best way to enjoy fantasy sports. They did have daily NBA contests. They'll have them again next season. Obviously, plenty more. They still have MLB going, of course, and they'll have the NHL back and the NFL. And you can win great prizes if you sign up today and use the promo code A2D for 5,000 bonus points, a $50 value. All you got to do is go to fanup.app and use that and get yourself some extra cash on the side. You can also go to BetUS as well. And the reason why I'm bringing that up is because we also offer A2D memberships for $9.99. One of those perks is getting weekly sports picks from the Money Pot podcast in Willie Vegas. These guys know what they're talking about. So
they've been picking some pretty good picks this week.
Yeah. So
they've hit on a few this week.
Yeah. So I would suggest become an A2D member, get those exclusive picks in there, and you know what? You go to BetUS, you go to FanUp, make yourself some cash. You're getting paid to be an A2D member. That $9.99 goes away real quick.
Who would think about +1 in a stolen base? Guys stealing bases.
Right. See? All the
that.
dynamics. Yeah, everything's covered there. So definitely check that out. All right. So into the third period we go. Around the league. My sentiments exactly, Eileen. Fuck Schittsburg and Crosby. And
something we can agree on.
Yes. All around
here. Agree with that.
Yeah. We can all agree, fuck Crosby. All right, gents. So let's talk about the trade. You guys ready?
Yes.
All right, then. Let's dive in. Thoughts?
I mean, great return. I mean, it's going to depend on what happens with Huberdeau. And in case you're wondering what we're talking about, Matthew Tkachuk gets moved from the Flames to Florida Panthers in exchange for Jonathan Huberdeau, Mackenzie Weegar, along with a lottery-protected first-round selection in the 2025 NHL draft, and prospect Cole Schwint. I'm going to say his name.
Yeah, I think that's his name. Yes.
Yep.
Don't know anything about him.
Yeah. Certainly a little unknown on my behalf as well. So getting back to my original point, Huberdeau is going to be in the same scenario where you got to sign him. Now, are the Flames going to flip him, which is kind of what I think is going to happen for more rebuild type material, or attempt to re-sign him? That would be the question. But in my opinion, certainly a great return for a guy that was clearly not going to re-sign in Calgary.
Yeah, I think I definitely think it's a good return.
I thought that Calgary made a hell of a trade with that.
They did.
You got Huberdeau back. I mean, even if you don't have Huberdeau for the whole season, you see how it works out with Huberdeau playing there. If Huberdeau might actually like playing in Calgary, you never know.
Yeah,
true. I mean,
he's mad as hell at Florida.
True, and Calgary at this point is starting to, now they got to do a facelift. They got to change the identity of the team now that your two big players are no longer there. Well, one through the trade because he didn't want to resign, and then the other one because he left and he went to go play for Columbus. So,
By the way, Columbus, just a little tidbit, guys. Columbus just signed Laine to a 4-year deal.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that tells you all you need to know about the effect of bringing in Johnny Gaudreau.
Oh, yeah.
All of a sudden, Patrick Laine went from, gee, I don't know, to, oh, where do I sign?
Yep.
A lucrative yet team-friendly deal in terms of being able to have the Blue Jackets afford everybody. I believe the 4 years was for like just shy of $35 million. Which would be like 7-8 a year, something
less,
like that.
I think it was even less than that.
34.8.
34.8. It was 34.8. Okay, yeah, that's a steal for a guy like him. That's extreme. He's going to score 40 goals playing with Gaudreau.
Yeah, that's a very
he's done
friendly
that before. So why wouldn't you think he'd do it again?
Yeah, I had that for my move of the week. I thought them locking him down is a bold move. That putting together a nice squad there with Gaudreau.
But to be able to sign him after getting Gaudreau, that's definitely there's a GM there that knows how to play the game. That's John Davis.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he was the architect of this Ranger team, and he's certainly done a hell of a job with the Blue Jackets now. So,
I mean, honestly, if the Blue Jackets don't make the playoffs, I'll be surprised. If they make a couple of, they got some good players already there. Now you add Laine into the mix along with, Johnny Hockey. It's like, holy shit, these guys probably do get back to the playoffs. I mean,
holy shit. Branson now, so they kind of now they've actually effectively replaced Seth Jones. I mean, they've done a real nice job.
And to think, over the last couple of seasons, we were kind of like, damn, man, Columbus has fallen from grace pretty harshly. Now all of a sudden, oh shit, they're back.
Yes.
Quick turnaround. Holy shit.
Yeah, and not bad considering they traded Pierre-Luc Dubois, who still can't decide if he wants to play in Winnipeg or not. I mean, he's a weirdo.
Anthony is not convinced. He's calling it now that Columbus will not make the playoffs. So he thinks the Blue Jackets will not keep pace in the division and will miss. Interesting.
They weren't that bad last year.
No, they were middle pack, but you know what? Honestly, when you have 100-point freaking standard, I mean, Christ.
Yeah, that's pushing it a little bit.
Yeah. Anthony also went on to say, I want Scott Kingery to be a Met because he is a very good player, except he is on the wrong team. All right, so I mean, overall, that's the big thing is that trade, and you know what? All I can say is that Florida doing some cap gymnastics, but getting a good return in Matthew Tkachuk and Huberdeau going to Calgary. Wins all around, really, when you think about it. Florida gets really great player in Tkachuk. Calgary gets a really great player in Huberdeau. I mean,
and they get they get a pretty good defenseman too.
Yeah, so I think it's wins all around, really.
Just don't let him have the puck behind the net. That's all.
Yeah, avoid that. Avoid the office.
He's not allowed to be behind the net. He's kind of like this Steve Smith syndrome.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah, the funny part is Smith wasn't a bad player, but he'll be remembered forever for that one fuck up.
Well, Cook gave the Oilers. I mean, he gave the Flames the Stanley Cup, literally.
True, but I mean,
The series because of it. Can you imagine a Game 7 and ending like that?
well, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing as
He Bucknered it. He
yeah.
Bucknered it.
That's the same thing. It's Bill Buckner. It's just like, okay, he's the Bill Buckner of the NHL because he made a colossal fuck up that cost his team at the end of the day. Only difference is the Oilers made up for it the following year by winning the Cup back. The Red Sox, though, kind of had to wait till 2004 to get a World Series.
18 years. Or whatever. No, 18 years.
Jesus. That's a whew. Boy, I'll tell you, man, Bill Buckner, I wouldn't be surprised if he got death threats for that. Holy shit.
Yeah, he had it pretty bad.
Yeah.
He took a pretty bad beating, from what I understand.
So Eileen says she's got a run currently. Can y'all keep my little boy in your prayers? He's going to be needing surgery soon to make sure there's no cancer. Oh, absolutely.
Oh,
absolutely. Thoughts and prayers. 100%.
Oh, man.
Yeah. Hopefully everything goes well and everything's taken care of. Absolutely. All right. Ted's saying, how many assists do you think Jake has with Johnny and Lonnie by his side? I can't tell you an exact number, but I can tell you this: it'll be more than the goals he scores during this.
How many goals did he end up scoring last year?
I think he only scored 4 or 5. I don't think he scored many. Yeah.
I mean, he had maybe 2 or 3 goals, and he had but he had 1 million assists.
Yeah,
pretty much.
Yeah, but you got to score more of that. I mean, he's not a defenseman; he's a center. Centers have to score goals too. I mean, I don't know. I do know that he scored one against the Rangers this year.
Always remember those ones. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I also know that there's also another rule regarding the Rangers that you guys should all know. Anybody who has played for the Rangers, when they play against them, automatically scores. It's automatic.
So that means Justin Braun's going to?
Oh, he absolutely will. I can tell you right now, his first goal will be against the Rangers.
He'll block a key shot. He'll have the game of his life and be like, where the fuck was that last year?
Yeah, well, he actually played pretty well for us in the playoffs.
Did he?
Yeah.
Oh, in the playoffs. Okay.
Yeah. Well, they didn't really give him much of a chance during the season, but they did play him in the playoffs, which I thought.
I thought you were pretty down. I thought you were down on him. My bad.
Well, I'm just down on the fact that they gave up a 3rd-round pick for a guy who they barely used him during the season. I would have liked to have seen him play more.
And then who walks and goes back to the very same team you traded that pick to.
Yeah. That's the stupidity of it all. And worse yet, it was a draft choice for this coming year too, 23.
It's the one deal I think Fletcher actually won. The one deal he actually fucking won out of all of them that he's made.
Oh, absolutely, beyond a question of a doubt, won that one.
And speaking of former Rangers, in a sense, did you guys see who Matty Sharks hired as their new head coach?
Oh, yeah, I saw
David
exactly
Quinn.
who they. Yeah,
David Quinn.
Oh, Quinn. Oh, Quinn.
I know he's your favorite.
Yeah, Quinn's a great coach. Let me tell you.
I mean,
we have the same talent one year as the next year. We go from being 6 or 7 games over 500 to being 100 points.
I'll be completely honest with
Whatever
you.
it was, 100, 106, 104, whatever.
When I found out that Quinn was hired as the coach of the Sharks, I thought to myself, why is it that my teams are hiring ex-Rangers coaches? What the fuck is with this? Between AB and Quinn, it's what the fuck, guys? And it didn't end well for the Flyers last time, so I'm a little bit worried and skeptical here. So I'm not going to lie.
Well, wait. I mean, he did guide Team USA to a 5th place finish in the Olympics.
Oh, I mean, okay, that's fairly impressive. I'm not joking, but I'm not joking, by the way, because let's be honest, the U.S. usually doesn't finish all that well. So, at least in hockey.
Yeah, better than 5th, though.
Okay, yeah, good point. They do better than 5th. Usually, they do get into the bronze medal match at least.
Yeah, well, they listen. They're not. They're just. As far as hockey and soccer go, we just can't match up with the other countries.
Oh, I still have hauntings of that 2010 gold medal game when fucking Crosby scored that goal. It's like, and it had to be him. It had to be that piece of shit who had the score on Ryan Miller. And it's like, come on, are you fucking kidding me? Fucking Crosby scored that fucking goal? Get the fuck out of here.
And of course he did.
I didn't even care that there was like 2 or 3 Flyers that were on that fucking Team Canada. I was pissed. I was like, what the fuck? Seriously. Come on. Fuck you, Crosby. Can you just go away? You ruin everything. Anyway. So, Ted saying, same thing with Fleury versus Detroit scored on himself. They beat Detroit in the 7 next year. And yes, thank you, Eileen. You have a very, very good night. And once again, thoughts and prayers and very good luck.
With you.
Yes.
Yeah. Reach out to, if you haven't already, Eileen, reach out to St. Jude. Wonderful charitable organization that helps out, with children battling, take away all the other worries so you guys can focus on just getting healthy.
Absolutely. And Anthony's saying Chuck Fletcher will be fired in the middle of the season. I pray. I hope he gets fired before the season starts. And Eileen saying, oh, and one last fuck Crosby. Nice. Love it. And then Anthony chimes in, San Jose should have hired Joe Thornton as coach. Honestly, I'm surprised they didn't.
Or Marlowe.
Yeah. Okay.
How long did Marlowe played for them for what, 20 years? Something like that.
Basically. I mean, he did have those 2 breaks where he played for Toronto for, I think, 2 of those 3 years that he was signed to. Then he went back to San Jose. Then he went to Pittsburgh. Then he went back to San Jose. It's just
every chance he got, he went back.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, they probably every time they got rid of him, they probably said to him, listen, we're going to bring you back, but we want to get a couple of draft choices. So go ahead. Here's the contract. I'll just leave it in my desk for when you come back. Yeah,
pretty much. Oh, man. I do love that, too, where after the Penguins got eliminated, too, in the bubble, and Marlowe was on the Penguins, the first thing Brian said when we were talking about the review of the series between Montreal and Pittsburgh, it's like, yeah, Marlowe was busy helping the Pittsburgh Penguins. Yeah, helping them get fucking eliminated. Oh,
the Penguins, you know what? I got to say this because I don't really understand it. Brett Burns is way past his prime.
That he is.
What are they doing bringing him on the team?
What, the Hurricanes?
Yeah.
You know what it is? They're trying to go all in. They're trying to figure out what they need to get over the hump. And listen,
this 38-year-old player?
Here's the thing. When teams get to this point, let's be honest here, there are certain teams that do this. Logic goes right the fuck out the window. They're not thinking logically. They're thinking, you know what, I don't see a 30-year-old. I see a guy with playoff experience, leadership experience, and I want that guy on my playoff team so we can make a deep run. That's what they're thinking. They're not thinking of anything else. And it's not logical sometimes, but that's what they're thinking.
38-year-old players usually get injured and don't play the whole season.
Again, logic is not winning the day here. That's what happens,
That never happens, right? 38-year-old players never get injured, right?
Oh yeah, never. Never at all. They're perfect. Their bones are never made of glass.
You can still score.
Especially in our division where the teams are just all filled with talented players that never hit anybody. they wouldn't dream of checking him or doing anything violent like that.
Yeah.
A nice meeting in Pittsburgh, with Letang back there, or the Capitals. They never hit anybody. God forbid.
Yeah, they're saints.
Jason or Jacob Trouba. If he happens to come in on Jacob Trouba's side, do they not think that this guy's not going to last? Have they not learned their lesson with all the old goalies they bring in that keep getting hurt all the time?
Listen, man, like I said, sometimes when teams get into this mode, logic goes out the window. Just ask the Flyers. How many times have we taken Flyers out on players we absolutely should not be signing, but we fucking do anyway because we think it's going to get us over the hump and get a long playoff run going? It's just logic goes out the fucking window sometimes when you get to this point.
I guess so. It's just...
But Rob did bring up a good point, though. Burns can still somewhat score. He did have a decent amount of goals last season for the Sharks. Maybe they might be thinking power play. That might be, about there on that range. So I think they might be thinking power play possibly that he could contribute on.
Tony D'Angelo was pretty good on the power play for them. So
I'm not saying that.
I don't really.
Listen, I'm going to say this again. Logic, it don't exist right now. And Anthony's saying Brent Burns is the Reggie Dunlap of the Hurricanes. Well done.
I agree.
All right. So that takes care of wait a minute, was there any other topics we wanted to bring up around the league, gentlemen?
Nah, it's kind of in the shootout too.
That was pretty much the real big news was Line A signing and the trade, of course.
Yeah. All right then. So, sorry, who was that?
I think we got most of it.
Okay then. All right then. So we go on to our shootout segment, and the shootout segment brought to you by the doc himself, Dr. Paul Vidal over at Specialized Physical Therapy. If you got any aches and pains, just go see the doc. He'll take care of you. You can make an appointment at www.specializedphysicaltherapy.com. He's located in Burlington and Cherry Hill, New Jersey. Like I said, aches and pains, man, they suck. They are son of a bitch. But you know what? If you go to the doc, he'll take care of you. He'll make sure that it's gone and you're in perfect condition and you feel like new. You feel better than you ever did. So check him out. All right. Shootout segment time. And obviously, Rob alluded to it. Best thing to do now is to bring it up. Move of the week. Robbie, for those who may be joining us a little late.
Yeah, I mean, you'd have to say it's the Tkachuk deal. There's an argument made that the Blue Jackets locking down Lalonde to that for 4 years could be up there as well. I think those two certainly top moves of the week. I'll throw a third one in there just to bring up a new one. The Jets re-signed Dubois to 1 year, $6 million. Just a short-term deal. See how it works out after that. But at least good for them. He does have a lot of talent. Hopefully, he can prove his standing there in Winnipeg.
Possibly. I'm surprised that it's only 1 year, but I guess maybe they're kind of in a prove it mode with him.
Right.
He didn't have the greatest year last year.
Nope.
That's true. He didn't. Yeah, that's a good point. Okay, yeah, I see where the logic would be in that. All right. So for me, move of the week, it's going to be Matthew Tkachuk, the Matthew Tkachuk trade. I mean, what can you say? I mean, both sides win this. It's you get what you want out of it on both sides of the angle. It just, you know what? Okay. Good job, guys. Neither GM was able to fuck the other one over. It's like this all worked out at the end of the day. Very rarely does that happen. Good for you.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I'm going to say that the trade, of course, but I give full marks to Calgary. I think that they did a fantastic job in absolutely fleecing the Florida Panthers. They went out and they brought in a solid defenseman. They bring in a guy who's at 115 points in Huberdeau, okay? And Huberdeau is, if he's on his walk year, he's going to be out there and he's going to play great. You just know that because he's going to. And you know what? The participants, particularly Huberdeau and the Calgary, they're going to benefit from this move, both of them. I think what's going to end up happening is I think Huberdeau is going to like it in Calgary and he's going to stay. Because everybody who plays there, everybody hates when they first go there. And then when they play there, all of a sudden they like it. It's kind of like Winnipeg. It's an acquired taste, but when they get there, after they get there for a while, they kind of like it.
Hey, the Saddle Dome's a special place to play your home games in. You know, I could see players getting into that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, the Flames, the Flames have always been a pretty good team. They've never been able to keep it together.
Yep.
You know, in the past, something like this with Johnny Hockey would happen, and then they get fleeced for Tkachuk. They went out and they got a guy who had 115 points last year.
Yeah.
I mean, I think he's better than Tkachuk, to be honest with you. And then you get a defenseman, a prospect, and a first-round pick. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And you know what? If it doesn't work out, they'll trade him, and they'll get another first-round pick.
Yeah.
The Flames weren't that bad. Even without Johnny Gaudreau, the Flames have talent on their team.
Come on.
What's his name? Magnapane, or is that his name?
Mangiapane.
Okay, thank you. I never actually heard somebody pronounce his name. But that guy was really good last year.
I always wanted to call him Marzipan, to be honest with you, but you know.
Okay, yeah.
Lorazepam?
Yeah.
He's a good player. Listen, I think the Kings. The Flames are going to be good this year with him. That was a big move because they basically replaced Gaudreau. Now they didn't completely replace Tkachuk too, but I think they have enough depth on their roster that they're going to be pretty tough in that Western Conference. Remember, the Western Conference in the division with Calgary, those teams kind of stink. So there's no reason why they can't make the playoffs.
That's a good point. Jimmy's saying, "Yo, fellas, what's up, Jimmy?" Anthony also went on to say, "I feel bad for Tkachuk. His career is over." Maybe not. I mean, he's going to Florida. Florida is playing pretty good hockey.
Florida is very good. Although Florida also didn't keep Giroux either. They traded top prospects for him. I mean, I don't really understand that.
Well, listen, we're going to screw up Owen Tippett anyway, so you know what? I don't think they're going to regret it all that much. Let's see here. Kyle Shiv saying Flyers will be the worst team this season, buy or sell. I could honestly, I don't think they'll be the worst team, but they'll be one of the worst, in my opinion.
Chicago and Arizona are definitely going to compete at that level.
Yeah, I think we'll still be one of the worst, though. We're not going very far.
I'm buying it, baby. I want him to be dead last. Go get Connor Bedard. Come on. Buy.
0-82. 0-82.
Honestly, if I'm the Flyers, I would be playing all young kids so they can get Bedard and get the young kids experience and then try to draft Bedard. I mean, that guy is what did he have, 170 points in 50 games? I mean, who does that?
Yeah.
The Western Hockey League is the top junior league in Canada.
Yeah.
I mean, that's not it's not like he did that. It's not like he did that in high school. I mean, that Western League, all the top players come from there.
Yeah, he didn't do it in some scrub league. He did it in one of the better ones, or the best ones.
Yeah, and he just wait to the Olympics.
Yeah, right. And also World Juniors too.
Yep.
And Jimmy's saying, agree, Carcillo is a goat. And then Kyle saying, bottom 3-5. Yeah, I could see that, bottom 3-5 for us. I could buy that. Ted saying, do you guys think that the East improved even more with the stars from the West coming East?
Yeah. I don't know that Florida really improved that much. Columbus did, though.
Columbus absolutely did.
Columbus is going to be a threat to take somebody's playoff spot away from them. Either the Capitals or the Penguins are going to not make the playoffs next year, or the Bruins. One of those three.
I think a former Western Division team now in the East might have improved the most.
Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that they're good enough. They still don't have a goalie.
True.
Well, the offseason is not over yet. They could remedy that situation if they can work some magic. Maybe they could get that remedied.
Yeah, but who's out there now?
Oh, they got Billy Husso, though. I like that kid.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about him. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. Billy Husso.
Billy Husso was pretty good last year. Yeah.
All right, then. All right. So maybe they do have that problem already solved. So if that's the case, who knows? Maybe Rob is onto something here. Maybe a little CC.
Hard for Bedard. I love it.
Yeah, tank hard for Bedard. I love it. That should be the moniker for the season. Tank hard for Bedard, baby. Orange and black all the way. Oh, and fucking 82.
Replace the hashtag bring it to broad and be hard for Bedard.
Yeah.
Get it trending.
Listen, I think the biggest sign last year that the Flyers were going to have a bad year was when they brought that dog on the ice and he took a dump on the emblem.
Oh yeah.
If that wasn't an omen for what was going to happen to them. I mean, you can't even. They had such a bad year last year. You can't even make stuff like that up. I mean, really, a dog coming in and pooping on the emblem?
I mean, that just pretty much tells you what the Flyers organization is. It really does. And Kyle saying East was better to begin with, and Florida was fleeced. And
that's what I just said. I think Florida got fleeced. They gave up way too much.
Donald saying, can't wait for Connor to join the Wings. Nah, we're going 0-82, man. He's ours.
Rangers will go to the Stanley Cup again. Maybe. We'll see.
Learn from last year. Take the next step.
It's gonna depend on how the kids do that they bring up from the minors. You know, they got rid of Vetrano. He's gone. Kopp is gone, and we'll see how they're adequately replaced. You know, you got Kravtsov, Cooley, and who's the other one? Oathman. That they're going to bring in, and we'll see if any of those guys can stick and how good they are going to be, because they're all going to get their chance. And of course, Zach Jones is probably going to take Braun's place, so that should be a positive in the on the defensive end.
All right, so we'll head on over from the Swoop. The reason why I have the Bombay up is because it is way too dark in this room. You would not be able to see me at all on camera, so I got to get a lamp. So once I get a lamp, I'll be able to go back on camera. For now, though, temporary setback. So I had to sacrifice the camera. It's all right. You're not missing anything. Trust me.
By the way, guys, just to let you know, and for anybody else who might be interested, there is a huge memorabilia show this weekend in Atlantic City.
Really?
They're having over 100 guys signing autographs, and they're going to have all kinds of memorabilia from all sports. I mean, the list is unbelievable that they have. That Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Brian Leach. I mean, this is if you go online and take a look at it's the national show. They're going to have a ton of stuff. If you guys are looking for any like flyer stuff that you want to get, that's already signed and stuff, great opportunity. Or you can go over and check out John over at Old Campus. Go get one of his hats and have one of these guys sign it for you, and then you'll really be you'll be the shit of your neighborhood.
Nice.
Wanted to just get that in for him. Just let John know we love him. We pay attention.
Hell
Even
yeah.
though John's fantasy team sucks,
All right, gents. So, continuing on Shootout to finish it up, we go to the hot take of the week.
Well, I said it once. I'm going to say it again. The best offseason so far has been the Red Wings. They did have a large amount of available cap space, but Eichmann, he didn't hesitate to go on a shopping spree like a young teenager. Getting Andrew Kopp, gives him a legit second line center. David Perron could be a goal scorer, but will be a great mentor for this team's young players. So I think that was a good fit. Ben Sherratt, the solid defender. He adds depth. I even like the flyer they took on Kubliak as well for 2 years, $5 million deal. He had 30 goals in his rookie year with Chicago. Maybe getting around more talent again, he could, maybe not put that quite forth that effort, but definitely a good secondary character. But like we said, I think finally trading for and then signing Ville Husso gives them a good goalie with elite upside. I mean, he had a .919 save percentage last year, 256 goals against. He was 7th in the Vezina, even sharing time with Bennington. And all the deals were pretty reasonable. Kopp was 5 years, 28 mil, a little over 28 mil. Perron was a 2 year, 9.5. Sherratt, 4 year, 19 million. And Husso was 3 year, 14.25 million. It did cost him a 2022 third round pick in the trade, so that kind of adds on to that the cost there. But to Brad's point, they needed to address the goaltender situation. So I think they had the best offseason and have a legit shot to not only make the playoffs but maybe take a round.
Yeah.
Welcome, Don. You can send me your money to my my PayPal. No. Or Venmo.
Non-sequential bills.
Me. Yes.
Actually, Rob, would you prefer it in a giant sack, or would you with the giant money sticker on it, or would you take it in a suitcase?
I'll take it in a sack, all dollar bills, so I can go right to the strip club.
Nice. Well said. All right. So,
I can't top that.
Brad, you got a hot take?
I'm waving here. This is actually a white flag. So.
Ted said to Rob's Patreon, yeah, at the strip club.
Nice. Cut out the middleman.
Yep. All right, then. So, Brad, you got a hot take at all?
Yeah, Ottawa. I think Ottawa had a terrific offseason as well. Brinkett, Claude Giroux. Listen, they're putting together a nice little team there, and you're going to see some Pierre Dorian. I've killed him for the last few years for all the tanking, but you know what? He's finally brought in some players. They got some pretty good offensive players on their team to begin with. I expect to see some major improvement out of that team. They're not going to roll over and die this year like they've been doing for the last few years. And I look for Giroux to supply a lot of leadership for those young players, and they're going to be there. They're going to be. They, along with Detroit, are definitely going to make Boston nervous, and who knows? They could sneak in if one of the 5 Metro teams fail. They could be the ones that get in. I think Boston is in big trouble this year.
Interesting. That's an interesting observation. It's possible, very, very possible.
Yeah, they're a little under. I mean, I would agree with Rob about Detroit, but I just wanted to throw them in as just somebody
Yeah.
else,
Legit.
just to keep just to have one other team in there that everybody has to look at and say, "Uh-oh."
Yeah.
All right.
Good. Yeah.
I'm going to say my hot take is that Anthony's. My hot take is Buffalo Sabres did some great moves of doing nothing like for the last 10 years. Meanwhile, mine is that next year, by this time, the Toronto Maple Leafs will have won a playoff series. That is a hot take because we all know they can't win shit. So
watch them lose Matthews to Vegas and then finally win a playoff series.
Right. That would be freaking hilarious.
When is Matthews' deal up? He's got 8 years. Didn't he get an 8-year extension a couple years ago? Or
I thought he did.
5 years, 58 mil, and come on, Spot Track. That was the first year was 2019-20. He's an unrestricted free agent in 24-25.
Oh boy.
Okay, so Vegas.
So
keep
Vegas
your eyeballs on that. Don't worry, they'll do some cap gymnastics and they'll
Matthews for Eichel.
Yeah. Straight up. Nothing else.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, nothing else. I want to make the money work.
Jack Eichel leads them to a Stanley Cup, and Matthews and the Golden Knights wind up getting eliminated in the first round.
Yeah, there you go.
Matthews takes the curse with him.
Yes. Like Corey, yeah, and they'll sign Corey Perry.
Yeah.
Vegas, that is.
Yeah, Vegas, yeah.
Yeah.
Kevin Becker, I want to say, did Bobby Brink's 5 months shelf affect the Flyer strategy into the season?
No.
I mean, I don't know if it did. I don't really think so, to be honest with you. I mean, I think it was one of those things where you wanted to see him kind of have an opportunity to be seen on the team, but unfortunately, if it's going to happen, like we said earlier, it'd have to be around January, but who knows? It may not even happen at all. They may just want to be careful with him anyway and keep him down, unless they're like dead last, like I think they'll be, or real low in the standings. Maybe they'll bring him up towards the end of the season. But, you know,
it just puts his personal development behind to where, yeah, maybe he could have, made some moves in camp, maybe push for a roster spot. But you're talking a kid just came out of the NCAA. He's got to get more professional experience in juniors in the AHL level. It just for the fact of paying your dues. I mean, he does have the talent to be on this level, so I could see him maybe potentially winning a spot. So what it'll do is it'll just put him where the following season he might have been like more of a lock to make the roster, to where he might be in the same spot again going into the following season.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, I hopefully he'll make that full recovery, and maybe we'll get lucky. Maybe we will see him at the very end of the season. Maybe he'll get some games under him, and then that means great. That means that not only did he recover, he's doing very, very well. Yeah, no problem, Kev. All right then. So, gents, finish this one up. Oh, Ted. Yeah, G will say thank you to us by scoring a hat trick on the Flyers. It's going to happen. Best fight you've ever seen to finish out the shootout?
Brendan Shanahan versus Donald Brashear.
Nice.
I remember that too. Fierce. Fierce.
There was a lot of hate in that fight. That was a hell of a
Those are always the best ones.
That wasn't one of those amicable good fight after they were done.
No, they beat
fights.
that. They beat the tar out of each other.
Yeah. This was I'm going to fuck you up. Good fight.
Yeah. Exactly. And that was, and if you want to watch that fight, it was when Brendan Shanahan was on the Rangers at the end of his career. That was a hell of a fight. It was at the Garden. Wow.
I did see that fight.
Yeah, that was a hell of a fight.
All right, Robbie, what about you?
Not a big surprise. I talked about it last show. I talked about it earlier in this show. Mcsorley versus Probert, 93-94. The fight almost lasted 3 minutes, and I mean it doesn't sound like a long time, but that's an eternity when you're fighting. Talking about getting stripped down to your skivvies, Mcsorley was wearing his pads and like one of those classic light blue, powder blue undershirts that they used to wear back in the day that would absorb your sweat. Just haymaker after haymaker after haymaker. To this day, Bobby Probert is still my favorite fighter of all time, even ahead of the great Hammer, Dave Schultz. Just could really throw it, but he paid a price. Definitely a guy that battled concussion and CTE in his life. Ended it far too shortly, but boy, what did you love him on your team? Legend.
You got everybody, really. All comers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, nice.
He probably won about 90% of his fights too. Didn't lose too many.
No doubt.
And Kevin was saying Ty Domi versus the Flyers fan. And then Swoopy saying he was talking to Anthony because Anthony saying Tippett and Brink are really fast skaters. Swoop's response was, "What are you smoking? Brink is a very goofy skater and very strange way of skating." Meanwhile, Ted goes on to say, by the way, Hart's lawyer said Hart wasn't involved with the sex scandal. I'm sure his lawyer would say that. It's just I want to wait and see what the investigation turns up.
He's saying that he never did steroids.
I mean, yeah, it's like we don't. To me, I don't know until the investigation's been done. You know what I mean? That's what I'll wait the judgment for. Yeah, his lawyer's gonna obviously say he had nothing to do with it.
We'll hope that he didn't. That he had enough common sense to stay away from that.
Right. It's likely the case too, but here's the thing. Oftentimes, guilty by association, and if you knew about a situation and didn't report it, it could be almost just as punishable, no?
No, that's a good point.
That's what I'm worried about.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Rob. I mean,
how do you prove that?
True.
That's true. How do you, without hearsay and everything like that? I get that. That's when you get into that murky gray area. But again, like I said, I'm waiting until the investigation's done before I make a judgment on this. I'm sure. We'll wait and see. I'll wait before. Hart's lawyer says it, but you know what? Hart's lawyer is Hart's lawyer. So we'll wait and see what the investigation turns out.
To say it.
Yeah, that's why. All right. As for me, to finish out the show, my favorite fight I've ever seen, and it's not even really much of a fight. It's more of a beatdown. Flyers versus the Rangers. Sean Avery, Sean Avery, who everybody hated, and always talked a bunch of shit and was always a pest, collides with Scott Hartnell. And Scott Hartnell drops his ass in 2 punches. And that was a beautiful moment to watch Sean Avery get his ass kicked by Scotty Hartnell. Loved it. Why? Because it was just a personally fun thing to watch.
Marty Brodeur wanted to do the same thing to him.
Oh, I'm sure he did, especially during that playoff game.
He learned that from Samuelson.
Of course.
Pulling the goalie's mask down just before the shot. That Samuelson was Samuelson that started that. And you know what team he started doing that with? The Flyers.
Of course. But that's okay because he was a Flyer.
Yeah.
So
absolutely. I'm just mentioning that he learned that trick. Avery never had an original thought in his life, so he came up with that one from.
except for giving away his sloppy seconds, but
Alicia Cooper, I take a sloppy ace. Kidding me?
By the way, Kevin, for the super sticker, thank you very much, brother. Peace and love to you on that one. Thank you very much for that $4.99.
Try.
All right.
Love it.
So that will pretty much take care of that. Fun show as always, gentlemen. That'll do it for this edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. We thank everybody who tuned in tonight, everyone who was new, everyone who was, of course, a regular. You are all part of the A2D fam. We love you to death, and we would be nothing without you. And if you want to continue to support A2D, or if you want to start supporting A2D, there's a great way to do that, and that is to go to phillydrinkers.com/A2D radio. They've got tons of great merchandise. They've got T-shirts, they've got mugs, they've got shorts, they've got specific show shirts. They've got also fun T-shirt designs. Bad things always happen in Philadelphia with Gritty on the shirt. That was one of the great designs they had. They had the Quarterback Factory one. They had a ton of great designs that they always come out with new ones as well at Philly Drinkers. So absolutely check out Philly Drinkers, A2D, get yourself some merch and support us. We love it. And we know you guys will love that stuff too, because it's great stuff and great quality T-shirts and what have you. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, the Hockey Happy Hour brought to you by Manscaped. It's time to unlock your confidence, gentlemen, and it's also time to throw out your old hygiene habits. And if you use the A2D code, you get 20% off plus free shipping with the A2D code at manscaped.com. Like I said, throw out the old hygiene habits, upgrade your life, feel confident in everything you do, not just with the ladies, but everything. Manscaped. All right. Thank you all for joining us for another edition of the Hockey Happy Hour. And we hope that everybody out there has a very safe and enjoyable weekend coming up. And they also have a very safe and enjoyable summer as it continues on wherever you are. And peace and love, everyone. We'll see you guys next week.